Alright, I had multiple videos I wanted to react to, so I just decided I want to spin the wheel to see what would come up. And it turns out this iDubbbz video essay came out called iDubbbz and the Disastrous Downfall of Content Cop, a retrospective. This won the vote, so I guess we're doing this video essay. Let's go.
Jormha, better known online these days as Anisa's husband, is a
Whoa, is that a Scottish person doing this video essay?
man who likely needs few introductions. If you search his name on YouTube these days, you'd be hard-pressed to find a video that paints the man in a positive light. But if you jumped back in time to 2016 or 2017, you'd find a very different situation. This is in part due to Ian's magnum opus series of videos, Content Cop, which were widely celebrated around the commentary communities and brought him a large following of dedicated but edgy fans, and all of the success and financial rewards that come with a large online following.
I think it's interesting because, like, I used to watch iDubbbz a lot back in the day. I used to really be a fan of Ian's content, and it was a lot more witty. Now, was it way too edgy, and could you make that kind of content in the year 2025 going into 2026? Absolutely not, no. Way too edgy for modern standards, and I think that in a weird way, iDubbbz, like, if he wanted to change his content, that's fine, but then he just, like, made that video in 2023 called I Miss the Old iDubbbz, where then he just, like, disavowed all his old content, and then he, like, started looking for good boy points, and it really, like, goes to show how much he fell from grace. Like, he didn't need to overcorrect that much. Did he need to shift away from his old content? Yes, to adapt to, like, the modern status quo, but not to the degree that he did. I think he massively overcorrected.
Time has rolled on though. Ian has found his supporter base waning and his base of detractors ever growing. His Content Cop series became a distant memory, replaced with content that failed to live up to his fans' expectations.
Oh yeah, it's total soulless content. Like, it's literally nothing. And then he brought back Content Cop for H3, but that's easily, like, his worst Content Cop. It's even worse than the Fine Bros Content Cop. His H3 Content Cop not only had tons of misinformation, probably disinformation, because, like, Ian was intentionally being, like, a liar, which is very unlike what we knew of iDubbbz back in the day. Like, iDubbbz, back in the day with his old Content Cops, Ian didn't lie about shit. Like, yeah, did he, like, over-exaggerate some jokes? Yes, but he made it clear that they were jokes. You could tell when Ian was joking back in the day. He actually was a lot more witty. He wasn't an intentional liar, but ever since he, like, went into the Hassan sphere, ever since he started going, like, super, super far left, I'm left-leaning, by the way, but, like, he went super far left to the point where it was toxic for him, and he started looking for good boy points. Then he just went down this rabbit hole just making shit up, just to be fucking doing whatever the fuck he's doing now, and he's constantly just bleeding subscribers. Like, no one, like, gives a fuck about him anymore. He's like a total lolcow.
Actually leading to Ian disavowing the Content Cop series entirely.
You know, if I'm gonna have the balls to go to Tana's fan meetup and say slurs at her and then make a video about how it's okay to say slurs, I think I should have the balls to make an apology video and take accountability for the mistakes I've made.
He has since embarked on a number of other projects and ventures in an attempt to reinvent himself, but
well, I think that the documentary series was fine. Like, that was, like, a good pivot from Content Cop. He did it in 2019, what was it, Full Force? And then, like, years later, he did the Sam Hyde documentary, which I guess he got massively clowned on. I genuinely feel like Sam Hyde wouldn't even be put in the crosshairs again if Ian just didn't make a fucking video on him again.
all efforts have so far ended in vain. Things have gotten so bad, in fact, that he is now widely considered to be a lolcow by the farmer communities which once held him in such high regard, and things only seem to be going from bad to worse. Back in April of 2025, Ian would surprise many by bringing back Content Cop, where he would attack his former friend and collaborator Ethan Klein.
Yeah, I mean, but like Ethan Klein was his friend for 8 years, which is why this came out of the woodwork. And I think what really was upsetting about this Content Cop was not only did Ian lie several times throughout this Content Cop, but he pretty much didn't even say the reason why Ethan was crashing out. And the reason why, it was actually a very valid crash out. It's because he was getting 2 human skulls sent to his house and he had CPS unjustifiably called on him. And all Ian had to do was just be like, hey, I don't want to get involved in this drama, but all I'm going to say is calling CPS on Ethan and having 2 human skulls sent to his house, that's not okay. Don't do that shit. That's all you had to do. That's all you had to do, Ian. That's all you had to do to not fuck yourself over, but you couldn't do that. And you had to make this hit piece while you were running the Creator Clash event, and then optically the Creator Clash event looked bad, and then he just decided to fuck everybody over by just relinquishing Creator Clash entirely. God, what a total... Dude, it pisses me off. He's a total selfish idiot.
He would see this iteration as a poor recreation of his former series, as it lacked the dark humour and well-produced skits that the series had become synonymous with. Despite this video accumulating over 7 million views, a lot of the reception has been negative, and Ian's...
Including yourself. I could see you disliking the video as well. Understandably so. It was easily his worst content cop, by far.
Career is very much on a downward spiral. Join me today as I take an in-depth look at the Content Cop series as a whole and try to understand how he found so much success with the series in the first place and how it's...
Well, I think some people could make the argument that, like, Ian originally was, all the Content Cops that he used to make back in the day were slam dunks. I would say a majority of them were. Like, with the toy channels and the tech channels that he would do against, like, obviously the toy or tech channels were not going to respond, so, like, he could safely make those without worrying about anything. The Keemstar Content Cop was pretty much a slam dunk, because in 2016, it was very popular to just dunk on Keemstar with, like, all the commentary channels going after him and everything. That was, like, very huge in 2016. It was so big that Keemstar almost quit YouTube because of how much people were dunking on him then, but I think Keemstar, I guess, has... learned to become more resilient since then, we'll say, even if he's not super likable. The Leafy content... I would say the Leafy Content Cop was really the only risky Content Cop iDubbbz has ever done. The reason I say that is because before that Leafy Content Cop came out, Leafy was very feared in 2016. Like, it's actually crazy how much Leafy just, like, was so... He was really a force to be reckoned with back in the day. Now, could he make that same content now? No, absolutely not. People would laugh at him now. Like, no one would be scared of Leafy in this year. But back in 2016, he was a big deal because he could make a video on anyone. It didn't matter if you were a kid. It didn't matter if you made a cringe video. It didn't matter. Like, he would make a video on anyone, and his content was very toxic. And so, and also not to mention, Leafy cultivated a very toxic audience. In a weird way, it's very synonymous with, like, Hassan's audience today. But not for political reasons, just like for terminally online reasons. And so it was a risky content cop for iDubbbz to make, but it wound up paying off because people actually really saw Leafy for who he truly was. And then Hey Watch Your Mouth made his hit piece on Leafy, which wound up making his reputation worse. And then Leafy kind of just, like, fell off from there. Like, he massively fell off.
all gone so...
That was, like, the only risky content cop, but I think every other content cop that Ian has made historically has just been, like, an absolute slam dunk.
horribly wrong. This is iDubbbz, Anissa, and the deserved downfall of Content Cop. Content Cop initially started in a somewhat unremarkable fashion. The first episode was released in December of 2015 and covered Jinx Reload, a reaction channel who was the target of much criticism from the growing commentary communities on YouTube.
Yeah, no, Jinx Reloaded, there was a lot of conversation back in late 2015 about reaction content. I remember this very clearly. I Hate Everything made a video about reaction content and how it's kind of a problem. Where basically we could talk, I think we kind of have this conversation a little bit here and there to this day, not to the extent because we fleshed out more how to properly do React content and how to actually do acceptable commentary. But back then, all Jinx and some of these reactors would do was they would just sit through an entire video, not saying anything, not giving any meaningful commentary, and then they would just, like, say something at the very end of the video, and they would give their thoughts at the very end of it, effectively just stealing the video, and not, like, doing anything with it. There was no reason to watch the original video at all, unless you, like, you know what I mean? Like, there's no reason to watch it, so you just, like, would go to the reaction and then say your thing at the end. Nowadays, obviously, it's better to pause the video, give a lot of meaningful commentary, like I'm doing right now with this video. You know, like, it's, you have to make content transformative enough to the point where it's like a different piece entirely. And so, like, if you don't want to hear my commentary, if you don't want to hear me pausing so much and, like, talking about the video so much, that's why I always leave the link to the video in the description below. You can always go watch the original video yourself if you don't want to hear my commentary, because I try to give as much commentary as I can. Based on what I know about. And this is a conversation that we're still having with React content to this day. And, like, I remember very clearly that it was even bigger during this time. This was, like, I think the beginning of the conversation of React content, as a matter of fact.
The time, Jinx was actually one of the first reaction channels to blow up, and his format is quite similar to the reaction streamers in the current age, where they essentially just watch a popular video and pause intermittently and offer their opinions, except Jinx was mostly clueless on the subjects at hand, so his reactions and commentary were generic and lacked insight.
Yeah, no, I think the thing about Jinx is that his content was very lazy. Like, I remember seeing a clip of him saying, we gotta grind for this content, we're on that React grind and everything, but it wound up just not even amounting to anything, because, like, his reactions were very generic, and he didn't really give any meaningful commentary to anything until, like, the very end of the video. Which is not the point of React content whatsoever. You're supposed to give your commentary in the middle of the video so it, like, actually is transformative and you put effort into it. Jinx's content was lazy. He can talk about how he was on that grind for ages, but it doesn't matter. Like, he was, like, his content was lazy.
This approach called into question whether his content fell under fair use guidelines and led to criticism from many other creators, including PewDiePie, Keemstar, and I Hate Everything, who all...
Yeah, I watched I Hate Everything's commentary. That was definitely huge back then.
Produced videos criticizing Jinx's use of other creators' content. Ian's video stood out in a sense because it was well researched with slick editing, it was funny, and he'd included a montage of skits in the intro highlighting the strong production values. To put it simply, there wasn't a lot of creators in 2015 who were going to this much effort to criticize a reaction channel.
It's actually very interesting because, like, if you look at videos of content cops back in, like, 2015, 2016 and compare them to iDubbbz now, the difference is night and day. Like, it's a completely different person. Like, you almost don't even recognize Ian. That's why I really enjoyed iDubbbz back in the day, because he was just so witty and he was so, like, funny. Now, yes, like, obviously, like, we all had our edgy phase. I did find it funny back then that he, like, said slurs, because it was so unlike anything that existed at the time. No, it wouldn't be good nowadays, and obviously, like, the slurs, like, in hindsight, didn't age well, and they shouldn't. But also, he's, like, he didn't need to disavow his old content, right? Like, he didn't need to become what he did today. Like, there's other ways to evolve without, like, just completely destroying what made you good in the first place, and that was, like, all the witty shit that you did back then.
The criticisms Ian throws at Jinx mainly revolves around Jinx's decision to show other creators' videos in their entirety, and also towards some of the unoriginal / borderline copyright infringement video series featured, such as the celebrity parody interviews or Looney Tunes in the Hood.
Damn, Looney Tunes in the Hood. What do you think Bugs Bunny is doing? Do you think Bugs Bunny is taking out, like, a Glock and he's got, like, a do-rag on? What about Donald Duck? Is that his name? Donald Duck? He's got, like, a do-rag on, too? He probably from, like, some, like, Wu-Tang Clan or some shit.
Set my goal to outdo everything they did.
You sound like a fucking legend, Jinx. Your goal was to outdo everything the other reaction channels were doing? So you looked at the Fine Bros reaction channel and you said, yeah, I could do better than that.
This was back before the Fine Bros got canceled because they, pulled out the, for those of you guys who don't know, the original Fine Bros, the two Fine Bros, they got canceled during COVID because somebody pulled up an old clip from them in, like, 2009 of them doing blackface. And I gotta be real with you, like, the whole blackface stuff was, like, you know, I kind of jumped on that bandwagon as well because I wasn't really a huge fan of the Fine Bros for some of their controversies they got into. But, like, looking at it today, like, I kind of just don't care. Personally, like, Like, listen, was it bad that they did blackface back in 2009? Yes, absolutely. It was very cringe, and it was very tasteless. But it was in 2009, and they probably have changed since then. They probably wouldn't engage in that kind of humor or behavior anymore. Like, I think people can change. Like, I think pulling something up from, like, 11 years prior or, like, years prior is just cringe to try to cancel somebody. I find that very cringe, personally.
I'll show the video in its entirety rather than just showing clips of it. That's where the Fine Bros are fucking up. Maybe you thought you were gonna outdo the other reaction channels by improving your video quality? Oh no, that's just gonna stay at 720p. I can't go any higher. I couldn't be fucked. I upload 4 videos a day. You know how long it's gonna take if it's 1080p? I'll kill myself.
That's not to say that Ian's video went viral. Because he had jumped into the drama quite late, the Content Cop sort of just existed within a sea of other Jinx exposed videos. But it did set a strong foundation for Content Cop moving forward.
I think that iDubbbz has always been kind of, like, to be honest, like, it's pretty clear to me that iDubbbz has kind of always been, like, a quirky guy throughout his life. And so, like, he sort of just, like, found this outlet to make videos, and he sort of, like, felt like himself, and he felt, like, witty enough to, like, make these videos. That's kind of, like, how I interpret it.
Broadened his approach for the next 2 entries into Content Cop as he tackled the food reviews and toy review channels, and I honestly feel like these represent Ian finding his feet with the new format and just fleshing out his catalogue, almost like his way of refining the system for what was to follow. Neither of these 2 videos have the more serious undertone present in the Jinx Content Cop, but the comedic elements were very much still a factor and amplified in certain ways.
Can I have this?
Honey, you already have the Darth Vader, don't you?
Yeah, but I need Han Solo.
That's not Han Solo, that's a stormtrooper. Get it right.
Honey, what did I tell you?
I want it.
What did I tell you?
I want it.
Put it back.
I want it.
I'm gonna count to 3. 1.
Fucking Max Mofo. It makes me so sad that, like, Max Mofo is behind the camera, because Max Mofo had his wedding very recently, and I shit you not, iDubbbz and Anissa missed the wedding because she had a tattoo appointment. I'm not even kidding. They had a tattoo appointment, and that's why they missed their friend's wedding for years, that they've had for years. It makes me so sad to see this friendship manifest, because holy fuck, iDubbbz is just a shell of his former self. Like, it really does make me sad. It's so fucked up that he, like, missed his good friend's wedding for a tattoo appointment.
2. Don't put the camera in my face.
Overall, I don't feel like these were bad videos, but quite forgettable, at least outside of the larger focus on skits. And
I thought they were funny back in the day. If I watched them today, I probably wouldn't really laugh at them. It's definitely a product of its time.
The iconic theme tune making its first appearance, and then would forever be synonymous with Content Cop moving forward. Ian's next detective venture would see him diving onto the Fine Bros controversy, which was being widely covered by the commentary community at the time. For context, the Fine Bros are a reaction channel who have a higher standard of production than your generic reaction content, where they have in-person guests on a show reacting to viral clips.
Yeah, the Fine Bros did acceptable commentary. I used to watch the Fine Bros, I think, in 2017. Like, I had a phase where I watched them a lot then. Even before that, I watched the Fine Bros in, like, 2011, with, like, the kids react to Minecraft and all that stuff. Definitely very nostalgic looking back at it. But I don't know if... Like, I just think that it sucks, man. Like, I feel like the Fine Bros cancellation is a little bit BS, because it's like, I don't think they deserved it. Like, listen, is it cringe that they did blackface in 2009? Yes, but like, come on. Like, we don't need to fucking pull up a clip that they did back, like, years ago. Now, if they were still doing blackface during COVID, then fair game. Like, they deserve to get fired for that. Whoa. Then they deserve to get fired for that. Fair enough. But it was in 2009, so...
A format which proved incredibly popular, but they found themselves in hot water after making the ridiculous announcement that they were going to trademark reaction content as part of their brand.
Ah, yes. Very, very fun to trademark the word react. Yeah, this was big. Obviously, very stupid thing. This means that, like, this would imply that tons of content creators would get copyright struck. Very, very slimy move from them, for sure. This was definitely a fuck up on their part.
We are excited to announce React World, which is a first-of-its-kind program that allows people and companies to license all our popular shows online so that anyone, even you watching right now, can create your own versions in a fully legal way and be part of a new and exciting global community.
In entertainment industry terms, when you create a version of a show based on someone else's format, this is called licensing, which many TV shows have done over time. For example, Britain's Got Talent and America's Got Talent. It's the same show format, but licensed legally to be created in other locations.
Yeah, no. That's definitely not the same thing. I think America's Got Talent is a very, very specific format. Reaction content is a lot more broad than America's Got Talent, and so if you trademark the word react, it's very understandable why a lot of people would be extremely upset at that, because it's definitely way more broader than something like America's Got Talent. So definitely the framing is a little bit deceitful. Also, not gonna lie, like fucking Ian having the Israeli flag in the background is listen, who knows if he actually was anti-Semitic back in the day. I don't know, man. I don't think he was like Hassan Parker levels of anti-Semitic back in the day. I think it was just edgy humor, and it was just cool to make fun of like Jewish people and just like different races. I mean, to be fair, anything was fair game to iDubbbz back in the day. It wasn't even just like making a joke about the Fine Bros being Jewish. It wasn't just that. Like, he would make fun of black people. He would make fun of like people of all sorts of different races. Like, it's, you know what I mean? Like, anything was fair game to iDubbbz. So yeah, I mean, I'm not saying that makes this joke okay, but definitely again, it's a product of its time.
Idea of trademarking something as broad as reaction content is as ridiculous and stupid as it sounds, and as you can probably imagine, they were clowned on quite heavily for this, and many hit pieces and parodies were produced by a wide spectrum of creators, leading to the Fine Bros retracting their position.
Yes, they eventually decided to not go through with this React content. And yeah, it was stupid. Like, I agree. This was a massive fuck up on their part. Yeah, I don't really have much else to say. Very slimy move for sure. They tried to pull a fast one with that one.
Everybody, this video is us wanting to explain some things about React World. The confusion and negative response over what this all is has been so overwhelming.
It's hard to really comprehend what they were even thinking or how they ever perceived this to be a good idea. Ian saw the situation isn't easy.
I think what it really was is they tried to make extra bucks off shit. They were greedy. They wanted to make more money. That's really what it comes down to. So they wanted to trademark React, and it didn't go how they thought it would, and so they had to retract it. That's really what it comes down to from an optics standpoint.
Way to further establish his new series, with the Fine Bros being very clear low-hanging fruit. The content cop on the Fine Bros focuses heavily on humour, with Ian clowning on their appearance and making the predictable Jews-like money jokes.
I mean, if I put a pixelation over this dude's eyes, you wouldn't know if they're pussy lips or his eyes. Don't get me started on the other one. Look at his glasses. What a Jew!
Okay, dude. Crazy.
Please, Dupes, would you start lapooning the revenue pros? Or
it's interesting because there is a video of iDubbbz actually shaking hands with the Fine Bros at VidCon literally after this hit piece was made. So they seemingly were on like friendly terms. I think the Fine Bros knew that iDubbbz made this hit piece on them, but they seemed like it was like all in good fun. I feel like iDubbbz didn't really actually have any hatred. Like, they actually shook hands and they were kind of okay. So I don't know, man. Like, it's kind of interesting the way iDubbbz interpreted some of these hit pieces.
Ready?
Obviously, Content Cop has evolved much more since the like, as Content Cop has went on, like, Ian sort of changed and added newer things, and he kind of kept trying to like outdo himself with each Content Cop. So
you're hurting my brain.
Honestly, there isn't really a lot to say about this one. It isn't really a great video. I feel like it is the weakest in the series, as it didn't really bring a fresh perspective on the situation.
Yeah, I would agree. I think at the time, before the H3 Content Cop, this was definitely his weakest in the entire Content Cop series, and the reason for that, he just jumped on the bandwagon. This was another slam dunk, and he didn't really add anything new onto the table. And I think when iDubbbz went on the H3 podcast, the old one, like the very, very OG H3 podcast, not like the one that we know and love today, but like iDubbbz's first episode in the H3 podcast where he said if he could take back one Content Cop, it would be the Fine Bros Content Cop, because it didn't really add anything new and was sort of just like jumping on the bandwagon. And he said like that's like the one Content Cop. If he could undo a Content Cop, then he would undo that one. Which is interesting. And I think it makes sense considering that like he met up with the Fine Bros at VidCon later that year, or the year after, I think.
And mostly we peddled the same talking points as the rest of the community, and the video seemed to serve more as a means just to cash in on the drama. He would later express similar sentiments in a 2017 episode of the H3 podcast.
Previous ones that I did.
I just brought this up. Bro, I'm telling you, I used to watch a lot of iDubbbz back in the day. I know all the old iDubbbz lore, so it really sucks to see where Ian kind of just like left off.
Like the Fine Bros. If I had to take any Content Cop video back, it would be the Fine Bros one. Because for me, I felt like I was very much jumping on the trend of like shit on these two Jews and make fun of their fucking faces and how much money they want and how greedy they are and that sort of shit.
Up until this point, Content Cop as a format wasn't anything spectacular. Of course, the production values were strong, the jokes were funny, and the series had a lot of potential. However, the subjects that Ian had chosen for the videos were all very much low-hanging fruit of the time. They didn't appeal to a wider audience or were unlikely to respond to Ian directly.
I think the whole sewer thing was hilarious. I remember like that, like having me like dying on the fucking floor back in the day, where Ian would like do food review channels and then he like fucking gets dragged in the sewer and shit in the middle of his food review parody, and it just like made me laugh for no fucking reason. It was so stupid.
This was all
But now Ian's content is just like so soulless. So sad, man.
To change, however, and Ian was about to change the course of YouTube history forever, as he took a huge risk and targeted a creator who was widely disliked and on the receiving end of mountains of controversy, but they also controlled a very popular YouTube channel. And
I don't think it was that much of a risk, considering in 2016 it was super popular to hate Keemstar, and like people were not a huge fan of Keemstar. Like all the commentary channels that existed in 2016 were shitting on Keemstar. And it was definitely, I don't know, I wouldn't say that 2016 internet was the best time. Some people, I think 2016 internet, you either really love it or you really hate it. I don't think there was much in between. I was one of the people that wasn't really a huge fan of it at the time, because I think it was just so toxic. Yeah, I think ever since Leafy fell off, like the internet got better. Like the internet was healing, because I just don't think Leafy is a particularly good person.
Retains a much larger audience than Ian did himself.
Yeah, I mean, like, this was gonna be a slam dunk, though, like, in reality, because, like, again, Keemstar was just so hated back then. He still kind of is, like, disliked by a lot of people now, but, like, kind of, I think the reality is people kind of just, like, treat Keem like Keem. Like, there's no other way to describe it. Like, Keemstar has always had a very tumultuous reputation, and so, like, people kind of are just like, okay, anytime Keem tweets something, it's kind of just like, oh, okay, yeah. But it's kind of crazy, because there's a lot of people that rage bait so much worse than Keem does now. And when you really think about it, I think Keemstar, in a lot of ways, even though I don't like the guy, he was ahead of his time with all the, like, rage baiting back in the day that he would used to do. So many people do it now. Like, that is, like, the meta. And so, like, now when Keemstar rage baits, it's almost like I'm desensitized to it, because there's just so many worse rage baiters out than Keem exists. So in a weird way, I think Keem was kind of ahead of his time in, like, that strange way.
On the 5th of May 2016, iDubbbz released the Keemstar Content Cop to widespread critical acclaim. Daniel Keem, the host of Drama Roulette, had found himself involved in many controversies by this point in his career. This included Keem encouraging his viewers to racially abuse a guy named Alex during a Battlecam livestream, tweeting at Total Biscuit that he couldn't wait to report on his death, and falsely accusing an elderly RuneScape streamer named Tony of being a pedophile. Things which he would later apologise for, and despite the backlash that he was receiving, he still maintained a very strong following of fans and supporters, and was sort of like a figurehead in the commentary community. With all of this in mind, Keem became an easy target for many of the quote-unquote exposed videos which were beginning to pick up popularity in 2015 and 2016. A number of these videos went on to do incredibly well, amassing millions of views, and they achieved this by portraying Keemstar as a sociopathic lunatic, and to an outsider looking in, this narrative did a solid job of highlighting Keem as some sort of internet villain. But to anyone who was closer to the commentary scene or a follower of Drama Alert, they would have known that many of these videos lacked the full context for the clips that were being shown, and they refrained from including apologies that Keemstar had since made.
Yeah, and I mean, like, listen, like, obviously, like, that was the most popular clip to use in a lot of Keemstar hit pieces that existed back in the day, where he called Alex the N-word, and Keemstar has extensively apologized for it a lot since then. I still don't think Keemstar is a good person, but, like, he obviously doesn't say the N-word anymore. To my knowledge, I don't think Keemstar is, like, a racist or a horrific guy that hates black people. I just think that he's kind of just, like, a fucking loser that just, like, rage baits online. He's kind of just, like, not the greatest, so... You know, I'm not a huge fan of Keemstar, but, like, there are some respectable qualities about him that I can appreciate. You know, like, he is obviously a father of a daughter. You know, he obviously has, like, his own responsibilities in life. I can respect certain things about Keem. I can also respect that he does have a lot of fighting spirit as well, because no matter how much hate he was getting back in the day, he just wouldn't back down. He considered it, though, and, like, I mean, I guess in all fairness to Keem, like, in anyone in that position that's constantly getting criticized, that's constantly getting people saying bad things about you online, it's like, you know, like, who wouldn't have the thought of, maybe I should just quit? You know, like, who wouldn't have that thought? I don't think Keemstar is, like, a particularly good person, but there are respectable qualities about him that I can appreciate, at least. And there are probably, like, way worse people than Keem nowadays.
This effectively left these videos wide open for retort from Keemstar himself, and he would do a reasonable job of defending his position, though I feel his emotions did perhaps get the better of him at times.
Why am I?
Absolutely. Like, this 2016 response is very much what, like, Nick is Not Green would do, where he kept responding to the drama, he kept responding to it. And, like, if you keep responding and talking about drama, that signals to everybody, oh, this is getting to you. This is getting under your skin, so they're going to keep snarking after you. They're going to keep responding. They're going to keep trying to get under your skin. And I think Keemstar has kind of, like, gotten better at it, you know, like, as he's continued to make content, as he's continued to exist on the internet. I would imagine from Keem's perspective, he would probably look at that and go, oh, okay, maybe it's, like, probably better to not do it this way, or, okay, maybe I shouldn't respond to this drama so much. You know what I mean? Like, I think he's probably, like, tried doing better than that. And yeah, this whole why am I still getting hate video that he made in 2016 after, like, Leafy's audience kept going after him, it was like, buddy, this is not going to make Leafy's audience go away the moment you put this video out there. If anything, this is just going to keep making them snark after you even more.
Still getting hate? Why am I still getting hate? Why am I still getting hate? Why am I still getting hate?
Ian took a different approach with his content cop on Keemstar. It opens with a long skit with Ian searching the sewers as Keemstar and the Drama Alert music can be heard in the background. He eventually locates the Drama Alert host, or rather a garden gnome he has painted to Keem's likeness.
Do you come? Fuck.
I'm your host, Killer Keemstar. Let's get right into the news.
the now iconic Content Cop music plays out, and the scene transitions to Ian in the cop suit ahead of the backdrop that would become synonymous with future videos in the series.
Yeah, and I mean, I think he did use this song in, like, previous Content Cops, but this was, like, the Keemstar Content Cop was definitely the first Content Cop that really put Content Cop as a series on the radar. And then Leafy Content Cop made it even bigger. That was my introduction to the series, was the Leafy Content Cop. That's how I discovered it. And yeah, that was another really good one.
The skit itself is quite funny, and it was apparent that the production values of this video far exceeded the previous 3 episodes. Ian meant business. He criticises Keem on many points, but he mostly focuses on the negative way in which Keem used his platform Drama Alert as a sort of personal battleground of sorts, whilst presenting the entity as an unbiased news platform. Ian sets the stage immediately by dropping 2 N-bombs in his first sentence,
crazy,
highlighting that he was absolutely not beyond lowering himself to the levels of those he was criticising.
Yeah, so it kind of, I guess, like, the idea was that, like, iDubbbz didn't want to be seen as, like, on a high horse, which is very ironic, given that, like, he absolutely was like that in his H3 Content Cop.
But he does so in a way that allows him to capitalise on the comedic elements of using a racial slur, whilst avoiding the negative reception that would generally be received for using such a word. He achieves this by directly quoting the words of Keemstar, which effectively gives him the argument that they aren't his words, and it's nothing more than parody.
Hey, everyone type Alex is a stupid in chat.
Okay, thank God you censored that, video creator. That would have been crazy.
Now, I'm not gonna
Jesus Christ, dude.
Be using any of these classic lines.
I think in a weird way, I'm kind of desensitized to iDubbbz saying the N-word because I watched a lot of his content back in the day, so I'm a little bit desensitized to it. Definitely not okay to say, like, ever, but, you know, it was 2016, you know, anything was fair game at this point. I don't think YouTube fleshed out their rules fully when it came to, like, this kind of content online or on their platform.
Points in this video. Instead, I'm going to use them for comedic relief. There are plenty of other things to insult the rat for.
There has since been much debate surrounding Ian's use of racial slurs. In retrospect, this wouldn't hold up too well with a modern audience, and he absolutely did have people who were criticising him at the time. Nevertheless, though, back in...
Yeah, I think I was one of the people at the time, because I thought to myself, this is fucking crazy, but then I told myself, oh wait, no, he's joking. Like, there's a level of irony to it, and then, like, when his Tana Content Cop came out, a lot of people became more comfortable saying the N-word, because they kind of just, like, detached the whole history behind it, which is not something you should say ever, but it's definitely something that made people more comfortable with it, that's for sure.
2016, the use of racial slurs for comedic value was absolutely fair game on YouTube, and Ian's fans absolutely loved it. It's this boldness and confidence which had genuinely just set Ian apart from a lot of the competition at the time. He just gave a more grounded approach, and he had a genuine...
I don't know about a more grounded approach. He's definitely, like, he played up to his audience a little bit. Like, grounded approach is a little... that might be giving Ian a little bit too much credit. Was he funny and did he make good points in his videos? Yeah, definitely. But I don't know about grounded. I feel like when I think of grounded, I think of, like, somebody who isn't, like, terminally online, or somebody who actually, like, meets a situation where it's at. Like, Ian definitely played up the situation a little bit for entertainment value, which is not necessarily a bad thing as long as you're telling the truth in your video.
Funny personality. There were a lot of people criticising Keemstar at the time, but almost nobody who was doing it in this way. The video closes out with another long skit, which includes a parody of Smash Mouth's Hey Now You're an All-Star, before the Keemstar garden gnome is blown to smithereens. Yeah, 2016 YouTube really was a fucking wild time.
It really was. I don't think we're ever gonna get another time like 2016 YouTube. It probably is not, like, I don't know, it definitely was way too toxic, and that's the part that I didn't really enjoy about it as much. But in a weird way, I do think back on it a little more positively, because there are certain aspects to it that were, I guess, kind of nostalgic. It's a little bit of a guilty pleasure. but not really, it's not content that you can make for today's standards. There's no way.
Interestingly, Keem didn't respond in the way that many had expected he would, as he didn't go after Ian or try to debunk the criticisms in the Content Cop, but he rather just acknowledged that the video was funny and pretty much left it at that. Overall, this Content Cop stands as sort of a monumental achievement for Ian, and it set the standard for what Content Cop would represent over the next couple of years. In retrospect, it still holds up as a very entertaining video that puts Ian's current content to shame. However, it is worth noting that in the initial weeks following its release, it didn't perform any better than most of Ian's content at the time. That would all change in the summer of 2016, however, when Keemstar had a very public falling out with Leafy Is Here.
Well, that was, I believe, around June was when Leafy, or I think it was either May or June of 2016 that Leafy made his first hit piece against Keemstar, and that's when public perception against Keemstar really began to turn, I would say. There were already people that were calling out Keemstar, there were already people making hit pieces against him, and he, slowly but surely, people were starting to be like, yeah, I'm not really a huge fan of Keem, but it wasn't, overwhelming compared to the level that, Leafy applied once he made his hit pieces on Keemstar. Then the narrative, the public perception really turned on Keemstar.
And Grade A Under A, and both...
Grade A Under A was another one, too. Yeah, his hit piece on Keemstar was also very popular. I wonder how Grade A Under A is doing now. I'm curious. Oh, shit. Last video was, almost a year ago. Okay, Grade A Under A still kind of makes content. It still does fairly well. And, he's still, this one almost got 1 million views. Okay. I'm gonna be honest, I expected Grade A Under A to fucking, just not even, actually, have any platform as much, but, honestly, kind of respectable. Okay, some of these are a little bit old, some of these are, really old, so he kind of, just makes videos whenever he, feels like it, I guess, or maybe when rents do, so I don't know. I mean, I guess he still makes a lot of views per video. Was not expecting Grade A Under A to be taken off still. I guess I kind of respect it.
Leafy and Grade went on to produce several hit pieces on Keemstar, which stirred up massive interest in the topic. This had the effect of the algorithm promoting the Content Cop to a wider audience, and the iDubbbz channel experienced a massive boost in growth. With all of that in mind though, it would actually turn out to be quite ironic, as Leafy would become the next target of iDubbbz. Following on from the Keemstar Content Cop, Ian would thrive with his newfound audience, and his existing library of videos such as the Kickstarter Crap and Bad Unboxing series would experience a surge of new traffic. For Keemstar though, he found himself at odds with his former friend Leafy Is Here. Their friendship had...
Bro, this guy, this is so uncomfortable. What is this, a VidCon or a hotel convention that they went to or something? There was this random guy who started touching Leafy. Bro, I'd tell him to get the fuck. If I had a random guy touching me and I was famous, I'd be like, get the fuck off me. Don't put your hands on me.
Deteriorated seemingly out of nowhere, with Leafy and their other close associate Grade both producing hit pieces on Keem, which for the most part consisted of the clips from Keemstar's past, which had already been widely circulated before Leafy and Keem had even became friends in the first place. This called into question whether Leafy and Grade had an ulterior motive for turning their back on their former brethren.
Keemstar is a fucking tumor on this website, mate. And his channel is cancer. Drama Alert is fucking cancer, man. Plenty of people have tried to make him go away, right? But he's still here. The cancer won't go away. But don't you worry.
It's interesting because one of Grade A Under A's biggest points is that Keemstar is shockingly racist, but so many other people were fine with making racist jokes. Even Leafy made some racist jokes, but no one gave a shit. They only gave a shit because it was Keemstar, because he was just that hated. So I guess they needed a point to include in the video to just fill up the time and I guess make it up to that 10-minute mark back in the day. So now it's the 8-minute mark. Before, back in the day on YouTube, it was 10 minutes. Now it's 8 minutes. They decreased it. So I guess shout out.
Hey, 'cause I, Dr. Grade A Under A, I'm an oncologist. And do you know how to get rid of cancer? With some chemotherapy.
Got him!
You feel me? Seriously though, right? Keem's just been getting worse and worse, especially recently. A lot of what he's done is privacy intruding, literally life ruining.
As you could probably imagine, this betrayal sent Keemstar into a frenzy, and he would release a number of videos on Drama Alert calling out Leafy and Grade and accused them of turning on him simply to farm ad revenue, and capitalised on the backlash that he had already been receiving.
It absolutely was a business decision from both Leafy and Grade A Under A, just to be absolutely clear. Like, if you watch Hey Watch Your Mouth's hit piece, which, again, I would say Hey Watch Your Mouth's hit piece didn't really age well on Leafy, but it was big at the time because it just made Leafy's reputation even worse. And so, like, according to his testimony, like, he claimed that, like, Leafy did it because it was a business decision. He leaked that out. And he was, like, Leafy was apparently, like, scared that, like, iDubbbz was going to make a content cop and all this stuff. And I'm sure, like, all of that is true to some capacity.
Claim would later eventually be proven to be true, as Leafy would come out and admit it years later on a Drama Alert. Nonetheless, the situation reached a boiling point when Leafy was invited onto Keemstar's podcast Baited, where he vehemently denied Keem's accusations and tried to explain the betrayal.
Video to make me look as bad as possible. You fucking lied about me in
I didn't
front of
fucking lie
millions
about
of people. Yes,
No,
your
no, no,
video
I did not
is
fucking
a lie. The
No, I did
content
not
of your video
fucking
is a
lie.
fucking lie.
I did not.
And
Okay,
you're
you gonna let
trying
me
to
talk
equal
or not,
that to
dude?
me
You
saying
talk
you're
about me all the
pussy
time on the
when I
fucking
didn't
podcast,
even
and then you
fucking
don't
say
even let
that.
me fucking
I
talk.
had your back so many times.
Let me
you
fucking
literally
talk.
backstabbed me
Dude,
for fucking
when are you gonna
views
fucking finish?
and money to get ahead
Daniel,
on YouTube because being
Daniel,
friends with Keemstar at that time was
Daniel,
a
can I
bad
fucking
business
respond to
decision.
your fucking
so
one of
you
your
made
points?
a good business decision.
Yeah, I mean, that's literally, that pretty much, like, Keem's testimony pretty much confirms, like, it aligns with Hey Watch Your Mouth's testimony very much, that he didn't lie. Even though Hey Watch Your Mouth didn't show as much proof as he could have, I think he showed, like, a couple of Skype screenshots, but it was not as much proof as he could have, and I think the reason for that was because Hey Watch Your Mouth and his hit piece on Leafy was, I think a lot of it was on voice calls, so I think that's why he didn't really share those, or that those weren't present, rather.
But in
Can
the
I
end,
fucking
you fucked up. You didn't see the long
Can I
run.
fucking
you had
even
no
talk, dude?
idea that I
If
was
you're just
never
gonna fucking talk the
give
entire
up,
time, what the
that I
fuck
was
is the point of
never
even
gonna
having me
fucking drop
on?
This, that I
Sit
was
there
going
and
to
talk about the
continue to
fucking
work
Great
my
and Leafy
ass off
podcast.
and
Leafy gets
entertain my
on.
fans
Nobody
and build
even
my
fucking lets me
reputation
talk.
back.
All right.
You had no idea that
This engagement didn't amount to any kind of resolution, but did serve to be a good source of entertainment for those on the sidelines. Leafy, at this stage of his career, was arguably the most popular creator in the commentary community, amassing millions of views on his daily uploads. But with this immense popularity also came immense scrutiny, as he would find himself entangled in dramas with a variety of creators throughout 2016.
I mean, I did like a whole video reacting to Internet Anarchist's video on the history of Leafy Is Here, but Leafy Is Here was like absolutely, like, his content was super toxic. Like, he would get into drama with other YouTubers, but more than that, he would make a video on just like random people and random like cringe videos and just like absolutely shit on them and like send his like rabid audience after them to harass them off the internet. It was like very awful. Like, it's one thing if you want to react to cringe content, but like if the fact that he was like encouraging that level of harassment to some capacity and wasn't setting any hard boundaries with his audience definitely like clues you into the kind of person Leafy was.
Notably, this was with Ethan Klein of H3 and, of course, Keemstar. Though, in all fairness, these feuds did little to halt his growth, but had rather amplified it, as his fans genuinely just enjoyed.
Oh yeah, Leafy made a video on titty streamers as well. That was a huge thing back in the day as well. Yesterday I reacted to a video about like Casey Tron being like one of those titty streamers, and now it's crazy that we live in a timeline where she gets sued by Ethan Klein 10 years later.
Enjoyed his rant-style videos. The content he produced varied between Leafy attacking other creators in the aforementioned rant series of videos and him making fun of smaller creators, which in most cases were children and amounted to cyberbullying.
Yeah, I mean, it was very toxic content, and I certainly felt uplifted that Leafy certainly fell off back then, because it was, I don't know, like, Leafy had, like, such an aura around him back in 2016. Like, there was definitely, like, a massive aura he had. In a weird way, it was kind of the same aura that Destiny had, where nowadays, like, no one gives a fuck anymore about either of them, because they're both not good people.
Would be the latter of these two forms of content which would land Leafy in hot water on a multitude of occasions, so it was only a matter of time before his rise was checked. Enter iDubbbz, who had been patiently observing the ongoing drama surrounding Leafy and was likely rubbing his hands together in anticipation. In September of 2016, Ian released arguably his most infamous video of all time.
Yeah, this was definitely my introduction to Content Cop, and this put it on the radar, and I actually really enjoyed iDubbbz's content for this in particular. And then we transitioned into 2017, which was definitely a personal favorite year of mine. 2017 was, there was just so much good shit that happened in 2017. 2017 is basically the year 2016 if it was better. That's how I view it.
Leafy Content Cop. The theme of opening with a skit continues, and this time around he messes around in a car park before being approached by a kid, and rather than assist them, he chases them away as the theme music plays out. The criticisms he throws towards Leafy are actually quite tame in all honesty, and the general theme of the video concerns Leafy effectively being a bit of an insecure little bitch, whilst the success of his channel had been built upon him bullying smaller creators and just being a bit of an edgelord.
You do the anti-insult and you'll win every time.
Driving a car, the Minecraft logo in the corner, his fucking teeth. Nah, fuck that. I'm not gonna be talking about the kid today.
Nah, I'm not gonna be talking about the kid today after showing a picture of his fucked up snaggletooth to my millions of followers. A zoomed in picture of his fucked up snaggletooth. Yeah, no, I'm not gonna be talking about the kid today. I'm not gonna talk about his fucked up teeth. His teeth? The fucked up thing in his mouth? I'm not gonna talk about that. That would be a fucked up thing for me to do. These things? Not gonna do it. Not gonna talk about those fucked up, nasty things.
Leafy's ongoing conflict with Keemstar comes up quite often, and Ian calls him out for his videos mostly consisting of information that had already been widely in the public domain prior to their friendship even beginning.
Did you guys know that Leafy and Keemstar were friends? Yeah, his video might lead you to believe that he just met him once at a small YouTuber meetup.
Making a video on someone.
Yeah, no, like I said, Leafy definitely made that video because it was a business decision, and he definitely, like, he knew what he was doing, right? He knew that there was a lot of money that he could make, and I think the monetization back in the day of YouTube was even better than it is currently. Like, I think YouTube kind of, like, regulated it a little better as the years went on, especially with the whole adpocalypse stuff, and they, like, kind of, like, changed how monetization worked. But if anything, like, back in the day, you could earn so much money if you just got lucky enough to be a big content creator.
That I've actually met at a little...
So it kind of, like, makes sense why Leafy kind of, like, wanted to take the plunge and make a fuck ton of money by making this hit piece on Keem, or the multiple ones, and milk it for as much as he could.
YouTube meetup.
Just a little YouTube meetup. You know, nothing big, just a classic flying up in a helicopter sort of meetup. You know, one of those meetups where we get our meat out and we beat each other off up in the helicopter sort of meetup. That sort of meetup. No, it's just a little one. You know, nothing big.
Keemstar's been shit-talking me and one of my good friends, Grade A Under A, who's also a YouTuber, straight up to multiple different people, and on top of that, behind our fucking backs.
Holy shit! Behind your backs? Wow! Man, you can read people really well, Leafy. How did you even become friends with him in the first place?
This simply highlights the point that Leafy is as untrustworthy as Keemstar, and I don't think it was intended to be a defense of Keem. Though I'd imagine that seeing this was likely a welcome sight for Keemstar, who at this point was on the receiving end of probably his biggest hate campaign to date.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, this is definitely, like, the lowest point for Keemstar's career easily. Keem knows how to deal with it much better now. Like, if Keem got, like, this level of hate today, he absolutely would not have reacted the way he did in 2016. But yeah, this was a low point for Keem's career specifically. But then after seeing this iDubbbz video and after seeing Leafy fall off, I guess in a weird way it's kind of like almost, I guess, vindicating for Keem. Not that he really deserves to be vindicated in any meaningful way.
Both Leafy and Grade A Under A's fans were coming at him. The video transitions to another skit, and it's some kind of fairground where he is placing posters of Leafy up in search of his chin. And in addition, he is also hosting chin-related games for the public to participate in, with prizes to win.
Attention beachgoers!
This was so crazy to do back in the day. It also made me laugh because I was like, oh my god, Leafy is finally getting that level of humiliation that he's been putting out there. And in a weird way, it is like poetic justice, because it's like, you know, Leafy constantly put that energy out there and constantly shat on people who didn't really ask or wanted to receive it, or didn't really like deserve it in any meaningful way. Yeah, I would say it's undeserved hate that Leafy put out there. And so he's finally getting someone that like matched his energy. And I think back then this really went to show like that iDubbbz was like kind of the hero we needed but didn't deserve back in the day. And again, a difference between this version of iDubbbz and the one we have now is night and day.
Some prizes over here. All it takes is hiding a chin. We also got a blender.
Overall, it's a pretty strong video, though in retrospect it perhaps doesn't hold up as well as the Keemstar Content Cop, simply because it lacks any in-depth analysis or deeper insight onto Leafy's problematic behaviour. And
I hard disagree with that. What are you talking about? If anything, I would say this was better than the Keemstar Content Cop, for the mere fact that like it was definitely his most risky I would say this was his most risky Content Cop easily, because Leafy was seen in such a like good light. Like a lot of people, like Leafy had like such an aura, and so many people were scared to go after Leafy. But iDubbbz took that plunge, he took that risk, and it really paid off. And it was really like one of the biggest reasons why Leafy's career kind of like fell off. And then like Hey Watch Your Mouth made his hit piece like a month after iDubbbz made his, and then it just made Leafy's career even worse.
Rather serves as a means just to give Leafy a taste of his own medicine by bullying him for 20 minutes straight, though I've got to admit it is quite funny. Leafy's response came around 4 days after the Content Cop, and it was apparent that he just didn't get it, as he played directly into many of the points that Ian had made, and he also included a bunch of these just awkward skits where he definitely wasn't trying to prove that he has a chin.
Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to a brand new video on the Can you guys see me right now?
The video did not go down well with the community.
Yeah, I think Leafy kind of like, he tried to play it off like a joke. And I feel like, here's the thing, right? Like, if you pictured the iDubbbz and the Leafy, like, sort of beef that happened at the end of 2016, if that happened today, well, it wouldn't happen today, but if it did, I actually, in a weird way, think that the response Leafy gave would have probably actually been fine if he, like, responded that way and then just, like, moved on from it and then kept making content. Like, I actually think today, for today's standards, that would be, like, the way to go.
And even many of Leafy's own fans turned on him at this point. Ian was very quick to capitalise on this response, and he produced the first episode of Content Deputy to highlight the fallacies and lack of self-awareness with Leafy's points.
Who is this cute little lesbian, and how tight is her pussy? I'm sure you guys
got him.
Went and saw the Leafy response video already, where he systematically dismantled each and every one of my arguments.
As with the Content Cop, the Content Deputy didn't provide any in-depth insights because it simply didn't need to. With that said though, Ian was absolutely ruthless and systematically picked apart Leafy with ease, and showcased that not only had Leafy failed to grasp the point of the Content Cop, but he had also been baited.
And you pretty much just told me, yes, I am actually very ashamed of my weak chin. Hey Calvin, I watched your response video, and it seems like you're still quite a bit bent out of shape about the whole no chin thing. It's probably my fault. I don't think I gave you enough options the first time around. So here's another option. Just get a bit of clay and mold yourself a new chin. This look right here I'm calling God's Winter. I think you're really gonna like this next one, Calvin. This one is called Ladies' Night. Huh?
Honestly, looking back on this, I do remember actually feeling just a tad bit sorry for Leafy. Don't get me wrong, he definitely...
I don't know. I mean, I guess. I had a hard time feeling bad for Leafy's cancellation when it happened back in the day. I had a hard time feeling bad for it, and the reason why is he kind of just, like, deserves it. Like, he was shitting on other people. He was constantly putting that energy out there. He was constantly shitting on people who didn't deserve it. And at any point, Leafy could have made a video on somebody else unjustifiably, and it would have just been not, like, productive or great to do. But, like, eventually, Leafy finally had somebody who matched his energy, and it wound up not working out for him, so...
deserved it, but Ian had just completely boxed him into a corner and left almost no opportunity for rebuke. And it didn't just stop at the videos either. The hashtag #NoChin was trending on Twitter, and Ian was quite active on there, attacking and clowning on Leafy and what remained of his fans in the weeks following the Content Cop's release. Interestingly, and on a completely unrelated subject, this would actually be how Ian met his future wife Anissa, who had actually been a fan of Leafy's, and she DM'd iDubbbz during the TwitchCon 2016 event, and from there they developed a relationship.
It's all downhill from here. Goddamn Anissa. Fucking sucking the soul out of iDubbbz. It's crazy, because, like, not a lot of people know that, but Anissa started out as a Leafy is Here simp. I'm not even kidding. Like, if you look at some of her old tweets back in the day, she was, like, simping for Leafy. She had, like, eye candy for him, and I guess once Leafy had his cancellation, then she looked at iDubbbz and thought, hey, he's hot, and I guess she hit him up in the DMs, and they be hitting it off, and now they're, you know... they are where they are, I guess.
Moving forward, Ian would experience his most successful spell of his career to date. Basically, everything he seemed to touch at this time just turned to gold. He also began to develop a reputation as being more or less untouchable, because his approach to criticising his opponents wasn't to morally grandstand, which was typical of exposed videos for the time, but rather to highlight their hypocrisy and make fun of their appearance and behaviours. He was also just incredibly unpredictable. Ian's personality and the outright confidence that he displays and great self-awareness to his own character flaws made him a very difficult person to hold accountable to just any logical standard. For Leafy, however, his career would start on a downward spiral after this, and although he still maintained a strong following of fans and was receiving hundreds of thousands of views on every video, it paled in comparison to the engagement he was receiving just a few months previously.
Yeah, and I feel like Leafy kind of just, like, lolcowed the fuck out of himself. He was, like, doing more face cam videos. Like, obviously, you could tell that the criticism and the Content Cop got him, and so he started showing his face more. And then his content just, like, completely... It gone. Like, it was just done. You know what I mean? Like, he, like, was not... Like, he still got some views, but it was nothing like he used to.
He would eventually abandon his channel in 2018, not to return for another couple of years. It's also just worth noting that the landscape on YouTube itself...
I feel like, yeah, you could easily tell that, like, just by looking at, like, all this B-roll footage, you can tell that, like, the criticism really got to him. Like, he really was not happy, and so he's like, hey, I'm showing my chin more. Hey, I'm doing more face cam videos more. Look at me, I'm doing more unboxing. But, like, it just wasn't his old content, and I guess people just didn't really resonate with it, and I guess he just kept... Like, he communicated that the hate got to him, and so I guess it just... After a while, his fans just didn't stick around for it.
Was beginning to shift in late 2016, early 2017, and the powers that be were becoming less and less tolerant to the content that they considered as cyberbullying, and so Leafy's videos were seeing less and less promotion from the algorithm. Ian, who was absolutely feeling on top of the world by this point, was not about to let his foot off the gas just yet though, and he set his sights on another problematic internet personality who had taken shots at him for his use of racial slurs. Something which they themselves had also used on a number of occasions.
I would say out of all the people that, like, Ian has made a Content Cop on, I would say Tana is, like, the most redeemable out of all of them. Like, in a weird way, I actually, like, look back and think, I think Tana could, do better if it was her today. But, like, like, obviously she was, like, a young person who was kind of a silly goose. She was kind of a silly girl, but, she was young. She was, like, 18 when iDubbbz made his hit piece on her, so, like, super young. But I think as she got older, she probably got, like, a lot more wisdom. And, like, I think I saw a clip of her in her, like, 20s compared to, like, her older content. It's, like, obviously, like, she really grew up and gained a lot more wisdom than you would expect.
And they were about to receive the biggest reality check of their career.
To be fair, like, from Tana's perspective, I could see why she would be terrified, though. It's like, it's some random fucking person going up to you in a convention, wrapping their arm around you, and then they're like, say, and then the full N-word with the hard R. Like, that would give me the ick, too. Like, in hindsight. Like, I know we all laughed at this, and we thought, oh my god, iDubbbz was so based for this. He was so fucking based for it, and, like, everybody was laughing. Like, I laughed at it back in the day, too, when I was, like, my 15-year-old self found this funny. But, like, nowadays, like, obviously, it's immature. And, like, I could, like, understand and sympathize with Tana on why she would be so uncomfortable with this now.
Tana Mongeau is a YouTuber, influencer, and OnlyFans model who blew up
I did not know she started an OnlyFans, I gotta be honest with you. She certainly was not on my radar.
Back in 2016 with her Storytime videos.
Channel, or welcome to my channel. I hope you are having a wonderful day today. Today's Storytime is...
She looks super uncomfortable, like, when she's, like, trying to film. Like, she kind of looks like she's like, oh, shit, I'm putting myself on the internet. And so, like, there's probably... I wouldn't doubt she probably has, like, a little bit of anxiety when the record button turns on. She probably has gotten more used to it as the years go on, but you can tell in her, like, older content, she's a little bit, like, I guess... I don't know, maybe there's, like, recording anxiety to just press that button to, like, put yourself out there.
The craziest, scariest, fucking what the fuck story I have ever told here on this channel. And it is a long one. It is an incredibly long one. It is a story that is going to take place over months. I have so many things to say.
This genre of content remains popular today, and Tana is often considered the pioneer of these video archetypes. Though it wouldn't initially be Tana's content that would put her onto Ian's radar, as she would actually bring the situation onto herself, as she went after iDubbbz on Twitter, accusing him of being racist for his use of the N-word, and stating in a follow-up
Oh, damn. That's crazy. So 3 million people subscribe to you and you openly say the N-word and R-word. Oh shit, Tana was calling out the R-word back in 2016. She was ahead of her time. Oh my gosh. And then she, commit, I don't think I could say that on YouTube, but, yeah, clearly Tana was trying to take shots at iDubbbz, and clearly she probably regrets it in hindsight, but you live and you learn, I guess, as putting it lightly.
Dream that she would be happy if he breaks his legs and loses all of his subscribers.
If iDubbbz broke both of his legs and lost all of his subscribers, I would be genuinely happy.
Ian quickly discovered that Tana herself...
I think, Tana, like, back... I don't know if she's still like this today, because I haven't watched Tana's content recently. I'm sure she's changed a little bit, but, like, she definitely comes across as, like, a typical SJW. like a far-left person that, like, gets like kind of just like virtue signals just because it like makes her look good. She's like seen as a typical SJW.
Alfred used the words and
but I'm sure she probably has gained a lot of wisdom since then. I think she out of all the people that have like changed for the better, I'd say Tana came out like on top out of everybody.
Far more derogatory sense than he had himself, and he set about pulling off his boldest stunt yet. And on February 6th, 2017, he released the Tana Mongeau Content Cop.
But she didn't use the N-word in the same way that I use it. She used it in a very mean-spirited way.
You know you're a stupid. You fucking.
We're gonna be like the last ones to see Tana, so I'm pretty thrilled about that. And we're gonna be like that little cherry on top, sort of little whipped cream fluff frosting. Is it worth it? Hell yeah, it's worth it.
Dude, this is so like I just like I'm getting like flashbacks of my 15-year-old self watching this for the first time and being like so hyped up. Like this was drama that was like so fun. this was like slop that was fun to participate in back in the day, but like if I was engaging in it in today, I would look at it and go, this is so terminally online. Like I've just like, it's really interesting because like I'm listening to like psychologically, like if you have an opinion on something back in the day, chances are you're probably still going to have that opinion today. And the reason I say that is because you're listening to memories of a child. Like you're listening to how you interpreted something back in the day and based off your recollection of it. Now, if you focus on it enough, there are ways to like, I guess, like rewire that part of your memory and be like, hey, you know, like look back at it and be like, oh yeah, that was kind of cringe. And I'm kind of getting that now, but I'm still like, I can't help but feel like there was definitely, you know, I had fun with it at the time, we'll say, you know, like, and I guess I'm glad I did, but like, I'm sort of conflicted with it in like a weird way. Cause it's like, this is like such a weird thing to do objectively. And I look at this content and I go, yeah, this is weird. Like, why would anyone do this? Like, if anyone did this today, I would squint my eyes and, like, be very strange, like, estranged about it. But now, like, but back then, I would have been like, yeah, this is so based. This is so funny.
This girl's gonna take a picture. This camera's for the future.
Say crazy. That's insane. Oh my god. If this was today. Okay, wow.
What made this so extremely funny at the time was the fact that Tana hadn't recognised that it was Ian at her event, and she had gone on to produce her own video where she overly dramatised the situation. In a nutshell, she had taken the bait.
He walks up to me and he kind of like locks his arm around me, like around my neck like this. And it wasn't like it was like a chokehold or anything. It was very like firm and like tight, like I couldn't have really gotten out, if that makes sense. I'll explain that in a second. And so the guy looks at me and he wraps his arm around me and he looks in the camera and he goes, say, and he puts his thumbs up and then like blank and he says the N-word, like hard R, N-word.
Yeah, so obviously like Tana sensationalized it a little bit, but I think if you want to be a little bit charitable to Tana, I don't know if she was like intentionally trying to lie about the situation. I think she just like kind of looked at it and was like, maybe it was based, like, because that's fucking scary. Like if you have a random guy go up to you and then wrap your arm around you during like a meet and greet, and then like they like just say that, like that is like, you know what I mean? Like I would be weirded out too if somebody did that to me. And so, like, obviously you would go off how you remembered it. So maybe, who knows, maybe her recollection, she, like, remembered Ian putting a thumbs up. I don't think she was, like, intentionally trying to be, like, dishonest or, like, spew disinformation about it back then.
Like, say N-word, like, hard R, like, smiley, loud as fuck, like, yells it, and, like, looks at me and looks at me.
Nah, I don't know about if he was yelling, though, to be fair. Like, definitely not yelling it.
Like,
say.
It wouldn't become apparent to Tana that she had been monumentally trolled and baited into the situation until after the Content Cop had released. From a critical standpoint, and in a similar theme to the Leafy Content Cop, Ian focused more on Tana's hypocrisy, lies, and negative personality traits, rather than providing an in-depth analysis and deconstruction of her content itself. Thank God. What I think is just so clever about this video as a whole is that Ian diminishes the entire argument between the two down to Tana's stupidity and poor handling of the situation, removing the general political connections which would often be associated with a disagreement concerning racial slurs.
Yeah, I mean, they obviously both used racial slurs, and the reason why I haven't gone like, whoa, you can't say that word, that's bad, is because I'm very desensitized from it coming from iDubbbz. I used to watch iDubbbz all the time, and so that's kind of why I'm just, like, not really, just, like, very desensitized by it. Like, they both used it. It is what it is. Like, that's kind of, like, the content that existed back in the day. It's not great that they said it. They both Tana and iDubbbz don't say that word anymore. They've changed. They've grown up. They obviously don't do that shit. I mean, like, what are you gonna do, right? Like, it's the content that was kind of the way back in the day.
because not only had he baited her into lying on video.
I definitely have to censor the bottom left of this video, by the way. I cannot have those slurs in the corner. Jesus Christ.
But he had also clearly demonstrated that Tanner's use of slurs was far more sinister and prevalent than his own. And similar to the Leafy drama,
I don't think it really matters at the end of the day. Like, you still shouldn't use slurs, regardless of whether or not Ian was, like, using slurs for comedic effect. He's, like, saying slurs is still, like, a bad thing. Just in general. So it didn't, like, that point really just does not matter overall.
Completely backed her into a corner and left her with just no opportunity for a response. Fortunately for Tanner, she would take the advice of her fans and not engage any further. She didn't directly respond to Ian in a video, which by all accounts minimized the backlash. She also issued an apology for her use of racial slurs in the past, and she has since gone on to have a highly successful online career and continue.
Yeah, I actually think if anything, like, Tana at first, like, listen, if you look at the sub count for Tana, right, like, obviously she was bleeding subs, obviously she, like, kind of, like, took a hit at first, but then eventually, like, she kind of, I think Tana recovered, and she's obviously became, like, way more successful after the Content Cop and everything, and she's, like, she's doing fine now, you know, like, obviously she's got her career, if anything, she's gotten, like, even bigger than she was when she initially lost the subs from the Content Cop.
Continues to thrive on YouTube through her cancelled podcast, though she has been involved in a number of scandals and controversies over the years following the Content Cop. What I find interesting about the Tanner Content Cop as a whole is that even though it was one of the strongest videos in the series, with a very well executed troll, Tanner herself didn't really suffer too many consequences as a result.
Aside from, like, maybe losing, like, bleeding subscribers a little bit in the beginning at first, definitely. She definitely took some level of hit, but it wasn't, like, enough for it to, like, derail her entire career. She was able to recover after a while, I think.
Outside of just the negative attention that she was receiving from Ian's audience. I feel this is because Tanner's content is so far removed from Ian's, there's just almost no crossover between their fans, and as a result, she was able to retain her already dedicated fans. Overall, I feel like it stands as a very strong video and was just another case of a problematic creator getting the reality check that they deserved. It is worth noting that Ian himself did cop some criticism for his use of the N-word in this video, more so than his previous use in the Keemstar Content Cop, and in retrospect, it's not something that would hold up very well given the current YouTube community guidelines. Nevertheless, Ian continued to gain traction, and this video only served to boost his popularity even further. But the YouTube landscape was changing beneath his feet, and the edgy content that had become a mainstream on the iDubbbz channel was not something that YouTube was going to support moving forward. So Ian wouldn't...
Yeah, you know, the name of the game was changing, and, like, iDubbbz had to kind of, like, change along with it. It is what it is. What are you gonna do, right? It's probably for the better, though, to be honest. Like, all the YouTube content in 2016 was absolutely fucking toxic, so it's probably for the best, ultimately.
Different approach for his next target. In 2017, YouTube was in a transition period. The higher-ups had decided that the drama cauldron of 2016 was not how they wanted the platform to be perceived moving forward. This had led to a noticeable drop-off in impressions for many large creators in the commentary space who had used edgy humour as a mainstay in their videos. Philip DeFranco, PewDiePie and Keemstar were some of the creators who were frequently speaking out about this at the time. The situation would boil over, however, in early 2017.
This sounds weirdly familiar to kind of like how we live today in a lot of ways, but not on YouTube. Like on Twitter and other places, like Twitter is a toxic fucking cesspool, and it is like worse now than it has ever been. Like there's legitimate white supremacists. There's like actual fucking like really horrific shit on like Twitter and everything. So I wonder if like that like change in management, that like if when YouTube back then like took a step back and realized, wow, we don't want our platform to be perceived this way, I almost wonder if we're going to see that shift again on Twitter if Elon Musk ever chooses to step down, or if I guess Elon doesn't like run Twitter anymore. That's when that'll happen, but like as it currently stands, I don't think Twitter's going anywhere anytime soon. Unlike YouTube, where they actually did care about how they were perceived after a while.
The largest creator on the platform at the time, PewDiePie, was accused of anti-Semitism. This related to a video where he had paid to Indian guys over a video call from one of those Fiverr websites.
Oh yeah, it was a dumb Wall Street Journal article that like tried to make a hit piece against PewDiePie that like completely fucking took the I guess video he did out of context or whatever, and it was just like meant to be like an edgy joke because edgy humor was just accepted back in the day. Yeah. I mean, like, it's kind of just like one of those things where I look at PewDiePie and I'm just like, do better. That's really it. That's the criticism. You know, you don't have to, like, hold it over PewDiePie's head forever. But yeah, I don't think PewDiePie is, like, a anti-Semitic person. It was just, like, kind of like the name of the game back then to just be edgy.
Signs with different phrases written upon them. Most of these were entirely harmless, but in one instance they held up a sign which stated, "Death to all Jews."
That is pretty tough though, I gotta admit. I don't remember specifically what it said. I remember it being an edgy joke. I don't remember it being that. That's fucking tough work. That's crazy. It's actually a lot worse than I remembered it being. Holy fuck, wow, that is terrible. Yeah, it's a bit rough, PewDiePie, not gonna lie. I don't think PewDiePie was, like, actually intending for it to be, like, a legitimate call to violence against Jewish people, but it's still... definitely should not be saying that. Definitely a bit tough to justify that one.
Obviously, Felix had intended for this to be a joke, and he would later defend himself by suggesting that it was to showcase how people would do anything online for $5. Nevertheless, people perceived this to be offensive and in bad taste. Chief amongst them, Disney, who cut ties with Felix shortly thereafter. This situation also effectively served...
It's probably for the best, I think, for, like, optically speaking from Disney. I mean, they probably don't want to be associated with edgy kind of content.
As the straw that broke the camel's back, if you will, for many large brands who pulled their marketing campaigns from YouTube, initiating the first adpocalypse.
Was it really because of this PewDiePie anti-Semitism thing? I thought it was, like... That's so weird. Like, I thought it was because of another reason. I thought another content creator... Like, YouTube was, like, putting ads on, like, other really problematic videos that were worse than PewDiePie. I could have sworn it was for something else. I didn't realize that PewDiePie was the reason the adpocalypse started. That I didn't know. If that is true, that's crazy.
Coca-Cola, Dr. Pepper, and even the UK government were some of the largest entities to withdraw advertising from YouTube. This had a major impact on the earnings of many creators, and as a result, a lot of channels changed up their style in order to keep their videos monetized. One individual, however, who was thriving throughout most of 2017 was a creator by the name of RiceGum.
Oh yeah, this guy was a total douchebag. I heard he had like a miscarriage recently, which kind of sucks. God bless. You know, I hope RiceGum was able to recover from that, but still, that's like, he was definitely like a massive douchebag that absolutely deserved to be called out. This was another slam dunk content cop that we're about to get into from Ian.
Built a strong following, having been on the platform for several years by this point, initially as a Call of Duty YouTuber and streamer, before switching to commentary in 2015 and finding success with his These Kids Must Be Stopped series of...
Oh yeah, and then he collaborated with like Jacob Sartorius, which I think he also like fell off back then because he wasn't really that big anymore, and so no one really knows who Jacob Sartorius is anymore.
Videos. However,
I think Jacob Sartorius got famous off of Musical.ly, and Musical.ly was basically TikTok before it rebranded as TikTok, essentially.
Rice's popularity grew, so did his obnoxious ego, and his content pivoted from what was traditional in the commentary space at the time to something closer to what I would describe as lifestyle vlogging, and this would see Rice showing off his luxurious lifestyle, and it amounted to him just flexing on his fans. He was able to find further success through a number of diss tracks targeted at other creators that he was quote-unquote beefing with at the time. With all of this in mind, Rice became a bit of a polarizing figure within the commentary communities.
Well, no, he was just like a standard douchebag. That's really what it like boils down to, is that he just like was a huge hype beast. That's the term that people used when they like constantly like flex their Supreme, their Bape, and all like their like expensive taste. And again, there's nothing wrong with having expensive taste. If you want to like have expensive taste and wear expensive taste, like you live the life way you want to live it. But Like, he was just being such an obnoxious asshole about it when he was, like, showing off to, like, other people around him, and he was, like, flexing on people constantly. I think he was, like, making it rain on a homeless person once. Like, he was just a total dickhead.
Many were speculating that he could be the next target of a content cop, with even Rice himself suggesting that he wanted one just for the attention that it would bring.
I don't really care at all, but I kind of really want him to make one on.
On October 3rd of 2017, Rice would get his wish, but not in the way that he had envisioned, as Ian uploaded a video titled Content Cop Jake Paul.
Yeah, and obviously Cameron F305. This is the content cop that Cameron F305 took inspiration from when he made his Ludwig content cop. And I'm just like, Cameron, like, it just didn't hit as hard. And the reason why is because, like, Ian had, like, a legitimate reason to do, like, the bait and switch, whereas Cameron, I don't know. I think he just did it just because he was, like, nostalgia baiting for, like, old content cops, which I guess works to an extent, but I think he should just change the title and thumbnail to Ludwig at this point. Like, months have passed, and it's like, all right, Cameron, like, the jig is up.
Because it seems like he has this disregard for what he can be criticized for.
What would he say?
And I just want to spell it out. Hey, dumbass, you did something stupid in the past. You can be criticized for it.
If you do drop a video on me, I swear to God, I'm dropping the best diss track ever.
Wow, your words hold so much weight. When have I heard that before?
And I think I'm gonna drop a diss track, so if this video gets more than 2 likes, but me and KSI about to drop a banger.
What should we do, bro?
Diss track.
Diss track.
We got a song on the way.
Yeah, and I don't think they ever released the Jacob Sartorius, like, diss track collaboration. They teased it, and then they just never did it, and then Jacob Sartorius, like, fucking fell off. I don't even know how he's doing now.
Hey, I'm working, we're about to be working all night, overtime.
In the brief period he's been on YouTube, he's managed to commit all 7 of the deadly YouTuber sins. So that's the theme for today's video.
7 deadly sins.
The central theme of the video revolves around the 7 deadly sins, and Ian attributes each of these sins to a different aspect of Rice's personality or an incident where Rice had reacted poorly.
When it comes to showing off the rapper lifestyle, whether it be with women or money, he has the most generic taste imaginable. Let me pile 14 women in front of me to show you that I get women. Do you believe that I'm not gay yet?
Okay. This was back when iDubbbz was actually, like, funny, though.
I'm trying to make up for that time when Fousey was...
I think it's just because iDubbbz is so, like, concerned with being morally correct, and back in the day, he just didn't really care. Maybe that's what it is. Like, I never actually, like, put 2 and 2 together, but, like, maybe the reason why iDubbbz is just so unsuccessful is that he branded himself off of just not really being morally superior to anybody else. And so when he finally decided to disavow all his old content and then try to become, like, look for good boy points online and, like, try to seem like a really good guy, he just became kind of like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just all that oomph that iDubbbz had, because he became focused on being good instead of actually being, like, you know, trying to be funny and just make content.
Basically fondling me for a minute straight on video. Check out these next clips where I basically lie to some girls on my stream.
No, I'm not streaming though, I just wanted to call you.
Oh, you're not?
No, I just wanted to call you and just talk.
I'm not live right now, right?
No. Basically,
I think someone just said the N-word in the Twitch chat. I think Twitch was very different back in the day and shit too.
we were just chilling on Omegle. She didn't know that I was live to 3,000 people.
With a lot of these interactions, it's sort of the ends justify the means, because by the end of the stream, they're giddy with excitement because they got all these new followers for appearing on the stream. Oh my gosh, you are lying to me. You're such a goofball.
In a nutshell, Ian's points can be boiled down to RiceGum's poor treatments of the people around him, his immaturity, his obsession over his public image, and his obnoxious flexing of his wealth. In typical content cop style, the video features a running skit which intermittently cuts between the different segments of the video. The skit lacks the usual slapstick humour which had been present in the previous iterations, but it is very well produced and overall I quite enjoyed it.
I would say that the RiceGum content cop is when really it was a turning point for Ian's content, and he started to take his videos a little more seriously. Like, you could tell compared to like in the previous Content Cops, Ian was like very much joking a lot and he wasn't really taking anything seriously. But by the time we got to the Rice Gum Content Cop, I kind of got like the vibe that like Ian started taking people and like taking this whole thing a lot more seriously because so many more people were like invested. And so, like, then he kind of, like, started caring about being more morally good. And then from there, like, it kind of just became, like, a downward fall, for lack of a better term.
And skit eventually resolves into a diss track with Ian teaming up with Boy in a Band to give Rice a taste of his own medicine.
Damn, and then Boy in a Band got his own allegations of, like, being weird with, like, young girls, and then he just didn't respond for 2 years, and he kind of just, like, disappeared off the face of the earth, and no one knows where he is, so, tough stuff.
And surprisingly, PewDiePie makes an appearance. The track isn't terrible, but somewhat forgettable enough.
I should probably do a deep dive on Boy in a Band, because he had some pretty fucking weird allegations against him.
All honesty, it did perform well though, and peaked at 24 on the Billboard R&B hip-hop chart, so fair play for that, I guess. Rice Gum would quickly issue a response where he focused heavily on how he had apologised for his past actions and was apparently a better person now, just totally missing the point.
But guys, like I said, I'm sorry, I don't know what else I have to do. You guys want me to like go back in time and like reverse the work? Guys, I've already said sorry to the girl.
This response was just terrible and all.
Yeah, it was really bad, and like he still comes across as a douchebag, and I think the problem with Rice Gum is that he just doesn't realize how he comes across to people. He comes across like an arrogant douchebag, and that's really like the biggest thing is like if he stopped being an arrogant douchebag, like listen, if you're a rich person, you're a rich person, and like it is what it is, like you got famous and you got rich and all that good stuff, but like you don't need to be like such a fucking like douchebag to other people, because not as many people are in as fortunate of a position as you are. So I don't know. Rice Gum definitely needed to be humbled a bit.
Fairness advice.
Again, God bless. You know, I know he was like on the way to having a kid, but then like his partner had like a miscarriage and it sucked. You know, God bless. You know, that is a very terrible thing to go through, and I don't think Rice Gum deserved that. But still,
just lacked any real accountability and had missed the point on many of Ian's criticisms. The Content Cop would be followed up with a Content Deputy, where Ian addressed Rice Gum's response point by point and reasserted many of the original points he had made in the first video.
In the video, he portrays me as like this money hungry, I only care about money, I only care about fame and myself.
No, I don't portray you that way. You portray yourself that way. That's why I used video clips of you portraying yourself that way.
Since he made a diss track, I mean, that's kind of what I started and, you know, kind of what I do. He kind of like stole that.
You didn't start diss tracks. If you want to make the claim that you popularized them, that's perfectly legitimate.
Overall, I found the...
Yeah, like, Ian definitely was a lot more serious in this Content Cop. Like, yes, he was making jokes, but he wasn't as goofy as he was in his previous ones. You could tell he was taking this a lot more seriously.
These videos quite entertaining, and Ian had raised lots of good points against Rice. However, I do feel like this sort of lacked the overall punch and tenacity that had made the Tanner, Luffy and Keemstar Content Cops all so iconic and entertaining. In part, I think this was likely down to the change in landscape on YouTube, with the adpocalypse at the forefront of every YouTuber's mind, so it's not that surprising that Ian thought to tone it down a little bit. With that said though, these two videos did still push boundaries. Ian used the N-word again and used racial stereotyping as humour, which obviously wouldn't fly as well today.
No, definitely not. But like, Ian probably, I don't know, definitely, like I said, a huge shifting point in his content.
Was criticised for this, but overall most people didn't really seem to care, as he had an established audience who were already in tune with this type of humour and likely engaged with other creators who catered to the same demographics. The video would go on to amass over 30 million views and has been immensely successful for Ian. Interestingly though, the backlash towards Rice Gum wasn't nearly as damning as it had been towards Leafy, Keem or even Tanner.
It was definitely big, but I would argue it was actually bigger than Thanos, but probably not as big as Leafy's. I think Rice Gum was still able to recover, but then I think he just like lost interest in content, and then he just like stopped being part of the game because the name of the game on YouTube was just changing, and YouTube was ever so much evolving
But like the reason for this is because outside of the RiceGum's a bitch hashtag and the diss track, there wasn't any real damning piece of evidence or well executed troll for Ian's community to get behind, and so it basically all amounted to a common feud between two YouTubers that just fizzled out over time. In addition to this, Rice was publicly beefing with Jake Paul, and Jake was quick to jump on the content cop as a way to get one over on Rice. And so much of the hate RiceGum...
Did Jake Paul actually do that? I don't remember that back in the day. I feel like Jake Paul was such a big figure back in the day that like we would have seen something like that. So did he actually do that? I really don't know. Not that I remember.
Was receiving was actually coming from Jake Paul's fans, and his fans and Jake's fans would...
Oh god, the whole kissing on like the person you're apologizing to is just like, it's so cringe. It's just like... It's like all of it was like so performative from RiceGum. It's just fucking insane.
Just battling it out. Nevertheless, this would serve to be the final content cop for almost 8 years. And looking back on it, it was an entertaining video in a time when YouTube was dominated by the antics of the Paul brothers and the Adpocalypse, and so it served as a refreshing change away from what a lot of people were covering at the time in the commentary space. As the years rolled on, the iDubbbz channel would transition away from the edgy humour that had brought it so much success, and Ian's reputation as the untouchable content cop was beginning to temper. On the sidelines, many of the fans of the channel were speculating who the next content cop could be on. Why?
Yep, and then the next content cop might as well have been like Half-Life 3. We wouldn't get another one for years and years and years. And by the time we got a new one, Ian already became so far left cuck-brained that he just is definitely a shell of his former self. Listen, I'm left-leaning. I like left-leaning values, but it's very obvious that Ian became very enveloped in the whole Hassan sphere by the time he made his hit piece on Ethan.
There hadn't been another one, and if he would ever release another one again. But despite Ian's change in content, many of his fans were still frequently requesting him to do another content cop. Well, in May of 2023, Ian finally responded, and it wasn't the video that many people had hoped for.
Yeah, I mean, it was essentially a content cop on himself, basically. Even though it wasn't like a standard content cop, it was just like a disavow of his old content, him apologizing for being edgy. And listen, you want to stop being edgy, you want to like change up your content, that's fine. Like, that's not really the problem that I had with Ian, because I was very charitable to Ian, you know, like even when he was going through his changes, because like people change all the time. And so like I was kind of like loyal when it came to his content. The part where I kind of like tuned out immediately, like once he made his hit piece on Ethan, was the moment I like left. I was like, yeah, I just can't keep being charitable to iDubbbz anymore. Like, he's just fucking made a huge clownery of himself, and he's just nothing like he used to be. You know, even like during the whole OnlyFans drama that happened during COVID, I think people were just bored and they were inside all day, and so they just like didn't have anything else to talk about, and so they just like wanted to latch on the drama. I think the whole OnlyFans shit was overblown with Anissa back in 2020. But then, like, once Ian made his, like, video talking about disavowing all his old content, it's just, like, that's, like, again, I was still charitable because I was like, okay, you want to change. I think you overcorrected. And then finally, the Ethan content cop came out, and I was like, yeah, there's no way I'm sticking around anymore. Like, it's just, like, one fuck up after another fuck up after another fuck up, and I just couldn't keep being charitable to iDubbbz anymore.
I've realized that I need to be crystal clear about what I believe, so there's no room for ambiguity. I am responsible for creating a lot of hurtful and damaging content on this channel, and I've also created a culture of apathy and, I don't know, a lot of like cruelty as well.
He found empathy, guys. The ability unlocked empathy. He unlocked it at the age of 32 years old. Incredible.
Like, you know, some of the videos I've made have been very, not edgy. I don't think they you know, some of these videos were edgy. I think they were just outright cruel.
This perspective was quite shocking to many, even to those who had completely given up hope of another Content Cop ever being released, as they just never expected him to go this far and outright apologise to the people he had made the videos on. Many prominent creators within the community were quick to question the logic of doing this and suspected Anissa's influence. Even Tana Mongeau commented on the situation and suggested that she felt in hindsight and she probably deserved it.
And I guess he posted this apology video apologizing for like a bunch of things he did in the past, one of them being the video he made with me or like to me or something. And I was like, damn, like I just never expected that. And I don't know how I feel about it, you know, because like, and I don't know how to say this. I'm not talking about anything in regards of the things he said, but I'm more so just talking about like his actions to me. Like, you know, him showing up to my show, him kind of putting me on blast, him inevitably making me kind of canceled and lose subscribers and have to apologize and all that type of stuff. I kind of think I like deserved that. And maybe that's like dark, like to say, but like, I don't feel like I'm owed an apology. And maybe that's because I've accepted it so much.
It's difficult trying to even...
I think that's like a very normal feeling, to be honest, because like I feel like Tana reflects on that and was like, damn, I look at my 18 or 17 or 19-year-old self, I was like kind of like, she probably looks at that and cringes, because like everybody gets that, right? Everybody looks at their old self and they like cringe a little bit. They're like, I'm glad I'm not like that anymore. It's very normal. And I think Tana, like, in hindsight, has just accepted it so much, and she's, like, moved on so much since then, and she's such a different person now that, like, it kind of just makes sense that she would feel that way. It really, like, I kind of get that. Like, I almost, like, I feel you, Tana. I feel you.
comprehend why he took this decision to make this video in the first place. From a logical standpoint, it made no sense, as by this point he hadn't made a Content Cop in almost 5 years. He'd moved on to the documentary style videos and then Creator Clash and the boxing, and established a strong following through these ventures alone. So Content Cop was all but a thing of the past, and only a very small minority of his fans were going out of their way to pester him on the subject. I should note that I already have a video.
Yeah, I mean, I was still charitable to iDubbbz. Did I watch his content as much after he made this video? No, but I was still subscribed, you know, I still respected his choice, you know. It's just only when he started fucking going after Ethan is when I stopped liking iDubbbz completely. That's the part that like really made me not want to stick around for Ian anymore, which was really sad to say because I really enjoyed a lot of Ian's content over the years. And I do have a lot of really great memories with iDubbbz's old content for sure.
Here covering Creator Clash and the documentary stuff extensively, which you can find linked in the comments down below. So I won't be going over all of it too extensively here. But to quickly summarise, Creator Clash 1 was a resounding success, backed by a strong and interesting card, and it sold over 100,000 pay-per-view tickets, as well as selling out the Youngling Center in Tampa, Florida.
Yeah, and then they did Creator Clash 2, and that was kind of a nightmare. They were able to get it off the ground, but it definitely, they ran into a lot of logistics issues for Creator Clash 2, and then Creator Clash 3 was a total fucking disaster.
And raising $1.3 million.
And that's definitely at the fault of Ian, for sure.
For charity. For Creator Clash 2, Ian and Anissa upped the scales with a bigger arena and more fighters, but by contrast to the first event, the lead up was plagued by drama, mostly concerning Froggy Fresh, who had made jokes concerning Anissa's OnlyFans, and he had also trained with Sam Hyde, somebody who Ian and Anissa very much disliked, leading Froggy to be removed from the card. The event still went ahead, but ultimately Ian and Anissa's mismanagement had resulted in the event losing $500,000 and raising no money for charity. Despite these failures, the pair went on to plan for Creator Clash 3, but ultimately...
Oh man, Creator Clash 3, dude. I look at it, I'm just like, damn. It's very... Jesus Christ, dude. Just look at it and it's like, just pure disgust because of how mishandled Creator Clash 3 was.
The event...
It's actually really disgusting how Ian and Anissa really just like fucked over everybody involved with Creator Clash 3. It's like actually very insane.
Would never take place. This was in part due to the fact that Ian made the disastrous decision to bring back Content Cop and go after his former friend Ethan Klein.
very stupid move, especially when you're running an event, especially considering Ethan Klein was like the only person that was like remotely funding the Creator Clash events to begin with. And so the fact that you're going after the only person who's actually giving a shit about it, meanwhile you're getting lolcowed by everyone else other than Ethan, is fucking, that was an insane move. That was crazy. He thought he was going to have a slam dunk, and then he wound up just fucking over his own event. Fighters were dropping out because they supported Ethan, and understandably so. And then, like, some people, like, he wound up relinquishing control of Creator Clash 3 and to other people, and then it wound up not working out, and so, like, Creator Clash 3 had to be canceled. Total fucking disaster, and it's like, Ian and Anissa have nobody to blame but themselves, just to be absolutely clear.
The owner and host of the H3 podcast. Ian and Ethan's relationship goes all the way back to 2016, during a period where both of their channels was experiencing a surge of growth.
Yeah, I remember watching their collaborations back in the day. Good times, you know, it was really fun stuff. Like, you know, Ethan had iDubbbz on the podcast. They would film skits together. They even shot at, like, the shooting range together, and it was really, it's fun stuff.
They would collaborate on a number of different videos together and appeared to become close friends as the years rolled on, as did their respective wives, Hila and Anissa. After the adpocalypse in 2017, Ethan changed his focus towards the H3 podcast as his primary outlet for him moving forward. Both Ian and Anissa made numerous appearances on the podcast, even during times when they were both experiencing immense backlash where Ethan and Hila would support them. The friendship would take a twist, however, when Ethan Klein found himself in a very public feud with political Twitch streamer Hassan Piker and former co-host of Ethan's Leftovers podcast.
Well, I think what it really boiled down to was the fact that, like, it's when October 7th happened, right? And obviously they had some disagreement, but it wasn't even just the disagreement that they had over it. It was the fact that, like, Hassan's audience was rabidly calling Ethan a genocide supporter, a person who co-signed genocide, and Hassan wouldn't do anything to, like, remotely control his audience. He wouldn't put any effort into stopping it. He wouldn't try to sit down and be like, hey, you know, like, chill out, don't go after Ethan, you know, we'll try to have a productive conversation about this. He didn't do any of that. And so that's kind of what inevitably, like, Hassan's audience has snarked after Ethan for, like, the longest time.
To Ethan releasing a content nuke on Hassan.
I started a show a couple of years ago with my acquaintance, Hassan Piker. You might remember him from such classics as
America deserved 9/11, dude. Fuck it. I'm saying it.
Yeah, kill them. Kill those motherfuckers in a video game. Sorry. Holy shit. That's not what I said.
Yeah, and, like, it took, like, Hassan, like, what, several months to finally sit down and react to the content nuke, but then he, like, filibustered the fuck out of it because he knows that Ethan brought up a lot of good points in his hit piece against Hassan.
Dumb cracker bitch.
And of course, the Leftovers podcast, which was our show, which we made broadly to goof on the antics of the right. Now, to be clear, I knew about all these edgy and controversial jokes at the time we made the show together, because who am I to judge?
This would effectively start a war between the H3 and Hassan.
How the fuck was Ben Shapiro in the B-roll of that?
Communities, which is in a sense still ongoing to this very day. Shots would be fired on both sides, and eventually the situation would boil over when Ethan received a visit from the CPS, or Child Protective Services.
Yeah, unjustifiably so, and Hassan and his orbiters completely fucking co-signed it, or at least Denims and Bad Empanada did. Like, they all co-signed it, and they were like, Ethan's kids roll around in dog shit.
Call it to the CPS.
Just, like, very gross people, very gross sphere online.
S is widely believed to have originated from within the communities of Denims and Bad Empanada to Hassan Piker orbiters.
We'll never know for sure, but it was definitely someone within the Snark sphere, whether it was the Snark subreddit, whether it was Denims or her community, or whether it was Bad Empanada. It was somewhere in there, that's for sure.
And strong critics of the Kleins.
Either way, they co-signed it, which is still, I would argue, is just as bad.
In a stream hosted by Denims, she covered a segment featuring Bad Empanada, where he made some pretty flagrant claims of child neglect and animal cruelty at the hands of Ethan and Hila.
Yeah, they made up this lie that, like, fucking Ethan's kids rolled around and ate, like, dog shit or whatever or something, and they caught Giardia from it.
He lets his dogs shit all over his mansion, and he just leaves the shit on the floor, something that is probably related to the fact that his former housekeeper is suing him for a number of different reasons. So I would assume he doesn't actually
Banana's just like full of shit here.
have a housekeeper anymore, or perhaps he lost his extra housekeeper. So now the house is just like covered in dog shit. And he has kids, and his kids like crawl into the dog shit, and God forbid, I don't know what they do with it. I don't know if they eat it, or if it's just from like contact with it with their hands or something, but they contracted a parasite that I had previously never heard of in my life called Giardia from the dog shit that is all over his house.
Dude, how is it that like maybe once a week I look into what Ethan Klein's been up to, and every time I manage to find more and more terrible shit.
Some eagle.
Wow. More terrible shit. Have you been to his mansion? Did you see the shit yourself?
Eyed viewers will likely...
Yeah, everybody in chat was literally co-signing, like, call CPS involved. CPS. It's like, these communities are very terminally online and unhinged as fuck. Jesus fuck, dude.
We have noticed the stream chats where references towards the CPS...
So did iDubbbz. iDubbbz also co-signed the fucking CPS shit in his hit piece against Ethan, which I'm sure this video creator is gonna bring up later in the video.
Can be seen being
he was like, they're quite reasonably concerned.
Discussed by Denim's audience. Ethan would rightly be furious about the whole thing, and he lashed out quite heavily towards many of these creators who were in the influence of Hasan Piker, and he has since actually gone on to take some of these individuals to court for a variety of different reasons. And it's at this point where Ian and Anissa entered the foray. The two of them had maintained a friendship with Hasan and many other streamers and influencers within his sphere. And given that Ian and Anissa were also very close to the Kleins, Ethan had expected a statement from the pair condemning the nefarious CPS call, or at least something to that effect. But that statement from Ian or Anissa would never materialise, as both of them had remained silent on the subject, leading to the Kleins calling them out on their podcast.
Fair weather friends who are so happy to be friends as long as they're getting something out of it.
Ian sucks for the same reason right now.
Yeah, like I said, all Ian had to do was like literally just say like, hey, you know, I don't really agree with sending CPS. That's obviously too far, but I also don't want to get involved in this drama because I enjoy, like, these both are my friends, but like, hey, just like the CPS shit. Like, all he had to do was like publicly just disavow the CPS calls. That's literally it. That's it. He didn't have to like go too deep in the drama if he didn't want to. You know, like, just be a good friend to Ethan, as Ethan was for all the 8 years that he knew you. That's literally it. It really was like, the bar is fucking low.
He could say something
Spineless. You're not my friend, and you never were, and you never will be. You never will be.
This call out would finally trigger Ian into a response, but it's not the one people were initially expecting. As on April the 16th of 2025, 6 years in the waiting, Ian brought back Content Cop and he went after Ethan. The video opens up in a traditional fashion with his skits and the theme music playing in the background.
I remember Papa Gut reacting to this and being like, what the fuck am I watching? And I'm like, Papa Gut is not familiar with the Content Cop lore. He's not familiar with typical Content Cop. He didn't grow up with us. Then again, Papa Gut's not terminally online, so who can blame him, right?
However, rather than the intro transitioning to Ian, it transitions to another skit fronted by Hasan Piker alongside some of Ethan's biggest detractors, where they...
Yeah, this whole fucking skit where he like went to Hasan's house with his orbiters was so cringe. Like, it was just so... Like, listen, like back in the day, if this was like an actually cool content creator, I probably would have laughed. But like today, I remember cringing so fucking hard when I saw this. I was like, why does this even exist? What cancer did I open my fucking eyes to?
They repeat the phrase, "Wake up, Ethan," effectively the ultimate betrayal.
He was right about that. That's not even in the content nuke. And he was right about that too. How did he know everything?
It's so ironic because at this point, Hasan hasn't even watched the content nuke at this point. So he's just like lying here.
How?
Again, if you want to give him a little bit of credit, like he was joking here, but like still, like he hasn't even like watched the content nuke. And when he finally did, he just like filibustered all the way through because he knew that Ethan was bringing up good points in his video that he couldn't respond to.
Wake up, Ethan. Wake up.
Wake up, Ethan.
Ethan.
Wake up.
Ethan.
Ethan.
Wake up.
Wake up.
Wakey, wakey,
to wake up, Ethan.
Wake up, Ethan. Wake up.
With the skits now out of the way, Ian gets to the meat of the video.
God damn, not Dr. Tits on camera. God damn it.
Which effectively consists of him rambling for 40 plus minutes.
I watch Dr. Tits for her intellect. Clearly. Like, she gives a lot of very insightful things and insightful commentary. I very much enjoy it.
In a far less structured format than older fans of the Content Cop series would have been
Oh my god, of course, and then he got naked on camera.
accustomed to.
I didn't plan on making a Content Cop on H3. It sounds very stupid even saying that. H3 Content Cop, iDubbbz. Ethan Klein's out of control. And then you should do a Content Cop on Hasan Piker. Content Cop on Sargon of Akkad. If I would imagine this in 2016, I would have been like, oh yeah, if I ever do that, it's gotta be because I lose the plot.
Yeah, and what's ironic, like, Ian was like, it's crazy because Ian really thought that was like a slam dunk point where it was like, oh yeah, it's because I lost the plot. Yes, Ethan, or Ian, fuck, their names are so similar, I'm so sorry. Yes, Ian, it's because you did, in fact, lose the plot. You absolutely did.
Well, it turns out
it's very ironic because I don't think iDubbbz like knows how he comes across, which is very strange because like he came across like I feel like he had some level of self-awareness back when he made his old content, but now it's like he lost all that fucking self-awareness because he's just become such a husk of a human being.
Now, it's not me losing the plot, it's Ethan. He's the one who fucking attacked first.
My good fucking friends who I stood by after all these fucking years can't find a spine to speak up.
So go fuck yourself.
I agree.
Most of the talking points that he brings up centers around the Ethan Klein-Hasan Piker conflict and why Ian believes Ethan is wrong concerning his views on Israeli and Palestine. Ian seems to take particular issue with Ethan using his podcast as a quote-unquote emotional dumping ground.
You're making it so fucking obvious that this is your emotional dumping ground. It's horrible. This is not what...
Which is very ironic.
What podcasts are.
It's very ironic because iDubbbz on his podcast wasn't putting clips out for his podcast to like try to promote it, and he only gets like 3,000 views per podcast, which is like for what iDubbbz's channel was is not nearly as much as he could have done back in the day.
Now, I always found this quite rich coming from Ian, given that he and Denisa had effectively spent the better part of the previous 2 years doing the exact same thing in every podcast that they appeared in.
Not only that, but like in their very own podcast, they did literally the same thing. This is not what podcasts are for. It's like, I truly think that like Ian to some capacity is like very TBI brained.
For a video with a runtime over 1 hour in length, it surprisingly has very little substance to it. Ian isn't particularly educated on the subject matter himself, so most of the opinions he presents are surface level at best, or just a case of him stating that Hasan said it, so it must be true.
Now in his podcast with Hasan, Leftovers, they would mostly talk about surface level progressive shit and make fun of right-wingers.
And you're telling me he didn't flick their dick once at least?
Oh, that's 100 shavers, you trans women. I say, oh no!
And it was mostly that until they actually had to reckon with a very serious topic. I would say that Hasan was very well equipped to talk about that topic.
Yes, of course, because Hasan, aka Mr. Terrorist Sympathizer, is very equipped to talk about a genocide, even though he downplayed Russia invading Ukraine and doesn't give a fuck when Russia does the same thing to Ukraine. But when Israel does it to Palestine, that's when Hasan is seen as a moral arbiter on the left that's much needed. Yes, Ian, thank you for your input.
People living in the West Bank are subject to these horrific conditions, horrific living conditions by the state of Israel, America's greatest ally and the only democracy in the Middle East, if you ask Republicans and even liberals.
Well, that dance he invented was so kick-ass.
Israeli settlers are trying to evict Palestinian families in occupied East Jerusalem. The United Nations says that may be a war crime. It literally...
I think it's so funny because Ian thought that he was going to get closer in the Hassan sphere, and like he thought it was going to be a huge win, but like optically, like people hate iDubbbz on the internet so much that it like actually wound up being like an overall L for Hassan, and so Hassan slowly like detached himself away from Ian after this hit piece because he realized, yeah, no, iDubbbz is like super hated, so probably going to talk to him a few more times, and then that's that. Like, it's nothing much is going to come of it, and Ian's been cucked by both ever since, so he deserves that position because he thought he was going to try to snake out on Ethan and gain something from it, but it wound up not working out for him, so I'd say that's karma at its finest.
Was just eating the toppings, and the pizza looked like a burn victim. It was all disgusting.
I don't know if you can make that joke in 2021.
Why?
It's insensitive to burn victims.
I think it's a good analogy. It's a powerful image.
Ethan was not prepared for this. Ethan, the whole time, is more of the goof guy. And that...
Well, yeah, of course. And then Ian is also definitely not prepared either, but I guess he's going to act like he is. And you can really see a stark difference compared to like his older Content Cop content, because like Ian really tries to like play the high horse game, which is something that he's never done in any of his previous Content Cop videos ever.
That's fine.
And it's this approach, in my opinion, that undermines the whole premise of the video, and it seems like more of a parody of previous Content Cops, at least by comparison to the well-thought-out Keemstar or Leafy Content Cops from the past, for example. The video closes out with Ian collaborating with Psychology in Seattle, surprisingly, who had previously issued Ethan a perfect score for...
Yeah, I mean, like, he kind of got, like, dragged... Like, I feel like he was kind of a hack of a psychologist, but like also to give him a little bit of credit, like he kind of got dragged into this terminally online slop, and he's obviously not very familiar with those kinds of spheres, so it is what it is. Like, obviously Ian kind of put him in this like weird fucking position where he didn't realize he was going to get tied in between beef between Ethan and Ian.
An apology due to an unrelated drama.
There's this incident on the podcast where they were reacting to Cutie Cinderella, and Ethan was laughing during it. So that ended up being a pretty important wake-up call for Ethan. He made an apology video directed at Cutie Cinderella, and it was graded by a professional psychologist, Dr. Kirk Honda of Psychology in Seattle, and Ethan got an A+ rating.
In terms of a public apology, this is A+.
Ethan won't stop talking about his A+ rating. Trying really hard to think about an impactful moment during this video. Like, could I do something that would really wake Ethan up? And I don't know if this came from a good place.
Oh, that golden tooth fucking pisses me off. It's so unlike iDubbbz. Like, really, he's just like, God, there's something about it that just like pisses me the fuck off. Like, you're better off just not having a tooth in that spot at all.
Or not, but I came up with the idea of getting Ethan's grade changed from an A to a B at least. So I went
got him.
To visit Psychology in Seattle. I'm not confident that Kirk will change his grade, but it's worth trying, and you know, we might learn a thing or two.
Xander! Probably get pretty
Whoa, Ethan, that's kind of crazy work.
low marks. Unlike me, perfect score, 10. I said, hey, Lud, no wig drama. Why are you such a spineless coward of a person now that you've inserted yourself and your girlfriend into this conversation?
Okay, iDubbbz, I hear you. You're in the room with me right now. I hear you. I hear your request. I understand it. I can understand.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Like, listen, he was kind of a hack, and, you know, like, there's definitely some things that this Psychology said that was, like, a little bit like, all right, dude, like, come on. But, like, also, I can kind of understand, like, he kind of didn't really understand, like, what he was about to get into. Like, he's not really... His whole content's not necessarily, like, about internet beef. It's, like, grading apologies and, like, doing the whole psychology thing and everything. So he's, like, not really, I guess, as equipped to deal with this kind of beef. And he kind of just, like, got, like, steamrolled into it. So it is what it is. Like, it kind of just, like... I don't really fault him for it as much as I did back then, or back when it happened earlier this year, so...
And where it's coming from. And I guess have a policy that when there is a grade for an apology, I am just grading that discreet apology as I see it without taking any consideration of prior or future behavior. If you're wanting me to comment on the overall behavior or the recent behavior from the clips that you have shown me, I believe that Ethan is a good person and that eventually he will feel sorrow and will feel sorry and will apologize.
Yeah, a bit of a silly thing to say. I think he just kind of like listened to iDubbbz or whatever, or like he knew that he was like doing a content thing with iDubbbz, and so he like wanted to be a little bit charitable. He was kind of like meeting iDubbbz where he was at. It's just like, I don't know, man. Again, I think what he's saying here is a little bit silly, but I don't think it comes from a place of wanting to snark after Ethan. I think it's just trying his best to meet the situation where it's at, regardless of, you know, anything else regarding it.
And I will be there to evaluate that apology when it happens, which I know it will.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
Things get even more embarrassing for Ian when he included a clip of him crying because of the abuse.
Yeah, the whole crying thing that Ian did was like, it's so performative. It's so fucking performative.
Ethan and Hila were experiencing, despite
it's just like Ian is constantly looking for good boy points online. That's like this big problem, is he just wants to be validated by other people online. And like in a weird way, I guess that manifested with some of his old content when he was like super edgy, but then like things changed and he wanted to be validated by another sphere, and so he just adapted for that.
In fact, his video is literally designed to make the situation worse for them.
You know, I also see the dynamic of Ethan and Eli. Like, fuck, like, it's really hard to be,
It's really hard? I agree.
A couple online and see people attacking your partner, and it's like, okay, like if you come to their defense, if that doesn't always help them, right? Sometimes that makes it worse for them.
Needless to say, the video was not received very well, and Ethan himself seemed quite shocked beyond belief.
Some breaking news. Your old friend iDubbbz just released a video.
Yeah.
It's about you.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
Oh my God. That is the... No, it can't be.
Well...
It actually can't be. Holy fuck, dude.
It sure is.
Oh my God. Holy fuck.
And from
I mean, like, I believe that it is surreal for Ethan because, like, they were friends for 8 years, so no way Ethan could have anticipated, wow, Ian made a content cop on me. That's crazy. Like, you literally see him processing it in real time.
From a quick scrub through, I think, well, it's going to be a little spicy.
Ethan would immediately go on the attack, and he reacted to the content cop and various other statements from Ian and Anissa on the H3 podcast many times over by this stage. The conflict remains ongoing to a certain degree, and it doesn't seem like there will be a resolution in sight anytime soon. For the Jomhas, the fallout from this has been cataclysmic. The iDubbbz channel is seeing its worst return in viewership in over a decade, and many of those are there to simply hate watch and leave troll comments.
Yeah, I mean, they've lolcowed the fuck out, and we are where we are today. You know, I guess it's a new perspective to laugh at, but in a weird way, it is kind of sad considering I used to watch a lot of Ian's old content.
Despite the horrific reception to the H3 content cop, Ian is expected to follow up with another one, and he is teased as such numerous times on live streams, and there is much speculation around the community on who the subject could be, with many even believing that it could be on the commentary community as a whole, who have widely covered the drama surrounding Ian and his fall from grace.
Listen, whenever iDubbbz makes that content cop, I will be here to watch it and laugh at it.
For now though, Ian mostly seems to be focused on political content and live streaming, neither of which seems to be bringing in the level of viewers and success that he has been accustomed to over the years. It remains to be seen how it will all play out from here. The timing of the Content Cops release would also come under heavy scrutiny, as Creator Clash 3 had been expected to take place in July.
Yeah, and optically, Creator Clash 3 looked, like, awful because, like, Ethan was the only person that was actually, like, meaningfully funding the Creator Clash events, and so for iDubbbz to just turn around and do this shit is insane.
It had also created an awkward situation for Lena Ayad, an employee of the H3 podcast, who was supposed to be fighting on the Creator Clash 3 card. Ian's betrayal would lead to Lena dropping out, and other fighters would soon follow suit, and the event would never take place. It seems Ian's main outlet moving forward could now once again be the Content Cop videos, though if the H3 Content Cop is anything to go by, I'm not so sure the series will be as rewarding for Ian as it once was in the...
It never will be. Content Cop is never going back to the way it once was, and that's just a fact. Content Cop is a thing of the past, it's a relic of the past, and it's kind of got to stay that way. Or give the rightful throne to Cameron F305, who rightfully deserves it.
Past. I want to thank you all for watching here today, and unless I see you otherwise, I'll catch you in.
Oh, the video just abruptly ended. But yeah, good shit, dude. I really enjoyed watching that. It was a good retrospective.